welcome back. As you guys can tell, we're no longer lagging. I don't think we ever were. I
Yes.
think it was just in game. We're just cool like
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
game one, as we saw, Dorado absolutely smashing Primal Instinct in, I think, like 25, 26 minutes. Something we were kind of not expecting, sort of, at least at the top of the
Yeah.
day. But then when we saw the draft, we're like, okay, that's probably what's going to end up happening. And truth be told, that's what ended up happening. They got the soul. They were
Yeah.
up 13, 14K by the end of the game. And PI just lost all control. So, the biggest point that you guys had mentioned is do not draft all one damage type on one side of the map, and I very much agree. So that's one change I'm expecting to see for game two. Are there any changes that you guys are expecting for this upcoming game?
Depends if Primal Instinct decides to go for blue side. If they do, I just think like don't draft, especially with support, because I'm pretty sure they picked Lulu to not give over Jinx Lulu. I think it's way better if you're on red side to go for counterpick support. And just pick a decent AD matchup because counterpick support is way more important than just picking away the best bot lane pairing that's available.
Okay.
I think drafting for your own team comp rather than to deny the enemy team something is way more important, especially when you're looking at cohesion.
Fair. Swift.
Yeah, that was a really solid point from Darter. Another point that I had was just having like a better idea of how exactly you wanted to play your comp out, where when you draft Aphelios Lulu and a Mumu, it seems pretty certain that you want to kind of play for this Aphelios and you kind of want to peel back for him, at least have some sort of peel. And then you lump him in with Syndra and Kennen after the fact, where it's like Kennen, yeah, can act as like disengage, but there's just so many better champs that would fill that role and probably help out your team way more, especially with that whole point that you mentioned that at the
Oh,
end of the day, you drafted triple AP topside. So
yeah, for sure, and which was a huge mistake. But looks like draft is starting right now.
Yeah.
All right, Swift and Darter, take it away. I'll see you at the end.
Yeah. So yeah.
for sure.
And it looks like Dorado Gaming did get blue side again. So Primal Instinct picking red side. Gragas ban, Viego ban. Okay, these are much stronger bans, I'd say, so far than Olaf and something like that, which is a lot more niche. Jarvan ban makes a lot of sense if you're
Yeah.
not looking to pick it, because Jarvan on R1, R2 is really strong, especially if you're looking to draft an nimble lady carry. I would expect... There's the Jax ban. Yeah, okay. I was going to mention that, but I was like, you can't save Jax to 4-5 depending on how they're drafting, because you're not expecting top to be in the first 3 picks. I do think Xayah is a really good ban if you're not looking to first pick it, because Xayah is really strong on red side.
Yeah.
Shaco ban again. They must have had some experience with that champion.
The inside info, man.
Must, yeah. And there's the Olaf ban again. Okay.
Mhm.
So really topside focus. No AD bans. Jinx first pick again makes a lot of sense. I would like them if they're going to pick Aphelios again to not deny the Lulu and pick Aphelios Thresh instead, something like that. I also do think Xayah Rakan is really good here. Or if you want to, you can go for something like Vi Rakan on 1-2 and leave Xayah open because they already picked AD. And yeah, there's the Xayah Rakan. I would hope so. I hope you pick Rakan here. Don't give it over. Because Jinx Rakan is playable. It's not very good, but yeah, denying Rakan is pretty good for them on blue side. So I would expect them to do this drop jungle. And then we might see Jinx Tom potentially. Thresh is still good against Xayah. Especially early on. I think Lulu is also very good. A lot of options for Dorado Gaming still, even if they go Xayah Rakan.
For sure.
And yeah, there it is.
Yeah. There's a Rakan. I mean, I definitely agree. I'd say it's like if you pick Xayah, you might as well pick Rakan. I don't think saving for Rakan for R3 when it's as predictable as it is when you pick Xayah this early. I just don't think it's worth. And into Thresh, it's a little harder, but it's a lot more playable. There's very few lanes where it's like you're taking Xayah Rakan and you're just like, we absolutely lose this lane 1000%. Like
Yeah,
it's
for
playable.
sure. The only lane that is scripted to be even most times and potentially winning is something like Kai'Sa Nautilus, for example, because Nautilus, Leona, Thresh all make Rakan have a very hard time in lane a lot of the time. So picking a melee support is really good, which is why they opted for the Thresh. Because anything with disengage is really good into Rakan. Even though the Flay doesn't cancel the Rakan W, you can layer CC on him if he does go in, overextends, and you can very easily get a pick off there. I would expect if it's Xayah, maybe Wukong potentially. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And for the side of Primal Instinct, I think Vi is really good. Anivia on R3, interesting. He does play Anivia. I think it's pretty good. It's anti-dive in some way, a lot of damage. I would expect them to pick tank jungle in that case.
Yeah, it's definitely
Hmm,
interesting. I think they wanted to have priority over it because it was banned away from them, if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken, once they got to second
Yeah,
phase
just want to
last
get mid
game.
lane on comfort for sure, especially after last game. Just was a little shaky in mid lane from both sides. Had a few misplays.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would expect the good thing about Anivia is you have complete control over mid push for a lot of the game. So your plays mid into bot or mid game playing around Drakes is much easier than something like Syndra, for example. So that'll be interesting to see. Cassante ban makes sense. A Mumu ban is interesting. I think a Mumu is really strong for them with this comp. You have really good team fight, so yeah, it makes sense. I would expect a Vi ban from Dorado Gaming here.
Yeah,
Um,
if they can get rid of Vi, it's gonna leave like a lot of
yeah,
it's gonna make it a lot harder to get on top of this Jinx to just be able to free hit more or less, especially as the game progresses.
yeah.
Because
There's not a lot of other options available. Mordekaiser ban. Okay, that's interesting. I don't think Mordekaiser blind in either in top is really good for them. And I don't think you'd expect them to play Mordekaiser jungle with this kind of team comp.
hmm
Um, we'll see what they pick here. They might opt for Kane. I think it's interesting if they do. They might also just blind tank top, something like Orange Scion potentially.
hmm
Um, we'll see. Ivern.
Ivern, wow.
That's
It has been a
hmm.
minute since I've seen Ivern, but
Yeah,
the first thing that comes to mind is like you're pretty much relying on a Nivea Rakan to just fend off whatever kind of
you
engage
are. Yeah,
Dorado is gonna throw at you.
it's a lot of disengage for them.
Yeah.
With Daisy, Anivia wall, Anivia just ulti, Anivia Q,
Oh,
Zyrakon is a lot of disengage. Xerath.
yeah. If that gets locked in, like if I'm playing Zaya, I'm probably hating. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, it's really hard to
probably
play.
I'm not gonna have the best of time because now you're stuck
Hmm.
playing a disengaged comp, and now you have like one of the highest range ADCs in the mid late game, and then a poke
Hmm.
mage to have to play against.
Yeah, I think they could opt for. I think unironically, Set is really good for them on B5 here. Sion's also really good. Yeah, just some beef that has like a decent amount of damage. Just something that can walk at this Xayah without any really issue. Now Nivea Wall does make Sion ulti kind of hard to use, especially if you're playing into chokes into river. But the Sion's job is just to stand in front of this Xerath and Jinx and let them free hit.
Yeah.
Because this Xayah is almost always going to be outranged.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. Like, had Set not been banned, it would have been a pretty solid pick because I don't know what they would pick on the side of PI. Okay, so they lock in
Yeah,
the Kled, and if it was Set, like Set probably does decently well on the Kled, and then Kled being their only real like
yeah,
bruisery type tank person, like Set's job would have been super easy to just ult him into the team. But Sion, like you mentioned, is really just there to act as a meatball, and Nivea is not going to be shredding him anytime soon. And the longer Zayat has to stay occupied hitting Sion, the
yeah,
quicker, or like, it's just going to be a lot harder to stop this Jinx from getting a reset onto somebody because
yeah.
there's not that much in ways of resistances coming out from the side of Primal Instinct.
100%. I want to see what DBZ has to say about this and if he's going to have similar feelings to us. We're going to throw it back over to the analyst desk here.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, doing some looking while this draft was going. Obviously, Zyrakon, as we know, a very strong duo. It's been a strong duo since they came out. I think it was season 8, 7 or 8 when they first came out, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is a really strong pairing. There's no way that Riot Games will nerf them to the ground. Turns out, still not the case. They're still a strong duo to this day.
Yeah.
And Anivia was a little bit of a surprise that threw me off. I believe, and if I go over to my notes real quick, I think their mid laner normally does. Yeah, Primal's mid laner normally does
Yeah.
play
Plays a
Anivia.
lot of Anivia, yeah.
So this is a really a good comfort pick, and I think that's actually pretty okay coming into game 2. He was like, okay, we're on the back foot a little bit here after that loss in game 1. Let's pick for comfort. Now the Ivern pick threw me off for a loop. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously the plan here is clearly you're relying on your engage tools on the Rakan and the Kled to be that absolute go button, because Ivern doesn't really have a go button. I mean, sure, he can summon Daisy and that kind of implies that you're getting ready to fight, but that's not typically your like that is your engage tool. So it's gonna be very interesting. I kind of expect him to like what's the word I'm looking for? I kind of expect him to like get superbly ahead naturally because Ivern is just really good at farming and really good at invading as well. So actually I'm kind of banking on there being a cheeky level 1 invade depending on where the Wukong starts and if they find the
Yeah.
Wukong. So it's potential that's one way he can end up getting ahead, especially if he steals one of the buffs and say it's the extra blue buff. Oh wait, I don't think they have this at level 3, but either way, just anything that kind of gives his laners a little bit of an advantage. I mean, Ivern's still a good champion. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
Haven't seen him in like beginning of last year, I think, when we were getting that cheeky Ivern mid nonsense that we were seeing.
Yeah, Ivern mid, Ivern Seraphine, that sort of thing. A lot the like double enchanter comps, that type of drafting from like last year's spring was common for a bit there because of LS. Kind of did it on stage in the LCS, and everyone's like, oh, this is kind of good, and then they started playing it, but it kind of is out of fashion now.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Indeed. Very interesting.
The big thing is you do have a lot of level 1 potential with Rakan, Ivern, and Xayah. They're all really strong level 1. Right. The only issue is again, you're playing into Thresh and Jinx level 1, and it's just really hard to lock down someone, especially if this Thresh starts Flay. It's just really hard to get on and kill someone at level 1 if you're not full 5 stacking Bush, for example. Right. We'll see if they do that. I would expect a 5-point from both teams, potentially an invade top side, just to avoid the Thresh potentially. Something like that to try and get this Ivern a free camp early, but we'll see.
Indeed. Okay, boys. So draft is finishing out right now. We're getting ready to go into Spectre in a little bit. So obviously, as we know, Primal and Stink Red are on the back foot after that loss in Game 1. Do you think they actually have what it takes with this draft to take us to a Game 3?
I mean, in my honest opinion, they have a chance, but it is an uphill battle. It is going to be an uphill battle. I feel if you're playing like the way mid lane is already, Xerath is not going to be threatened too much by an Anivia, let alone a Xerath. I mean, let alone an Ivern.
Right.
And then bot lane, if Kobita plays this Thresh like he played last game, I don't have anything like any worry about. Okay, he's going to make it out of lane just fine against this Rakan. And then all that's left is jungle it's jungle. I feel like jungle is going to be the deciding factor here. If Wukong gets any sort of bit of a head, it's going to make this entire game just really rough for the side of PR,
sure.
So
I am aware that it goes to Game 3 after this. My brain is hyped up on G Fuel, so my brain is running 1,000,000 miles an hour. So thank you very much. Also, not sponsored, by the way.
Yep. Game 3 guaranteed. I hope we get a Game 4 at least. I think it's rough for this game. Now, the thing with Primal Instincts is if they do get this Xayah Rakan ahead, then there's a lot of options that they have going into the mid game. But the problem is if this game is slow and we go through scaling, Dorado Gaming has really strong scaling as much as Xayah scales well and Nivea scales well. I'm looking mainly at this Ivern Kled to see how they can get to the late game. Because if this Sion is allowed to exist, it's really hard for their comp to play late game team fights with how much range Jinx and Xerath will have and the amount of space they'll have to play with Wukong, Thresh, and Sion in front of them. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and we have the runes up on the screen right now, and that's what I'm currently looking at. So we got the first strike on the Xerath. Okay, that's pretty standard. Instead of going for the comment, okay, that's going to be pretty good, especially into the later stages of the game when he has that extra source of gold income coming in.
Yeah,
Jinx and Xayah runes are pretty standard, so nothing surprising there. And I'm expecting maybe Guardian on Rakan and maybe Glacial.
Glacial on Thresh, I would assume. Yeah. Glacial on both. Glacial on Rakan is interesting.
Oh, Glacial on both.
Yeah, that's
it's good.
But
Guardian's definitely taken more often, but Glacial's still good, especially into a Jinx. It allows you to disengage a lot easier with how much, especially if she gets a reset. You at least buy some space. We'll see.
Okay.
I mean, I think
no
part
cleanse
of
again.
Yeah, I think part of the whole Glacial Rakan is just he's like one of the only two forms of engage. Is gotta have something else on top of just shielding through Guardian. So
yeah, indeed. So right before we go take our quick little break, let's make this really quick. Who we got for game 2 and what Dragunov? Let's do lightning round. Go for a Swift this time.
All right, I'm gonna take Dorado Gaming on this one. I'm gonna stick with Infernal Soul.
Okay.
Hopefully it comes up at some point.
Okay. I'll go Dorado Gaming as well for game 2 and Mountain Soul.
Okay, I'm going Dorado also, and then Ocean. But we'll be right back because we're gonna take a quick break for the finish up the spec delay, and then we'll be in the game 2 of this best of 5 series. Can Primal Instinct take this and get us to a 1-1 series? Find out right after this break.
everybody, welcome back as we're getting into game 2 of this best of 5 series of Risen Rampage semifinals between Dorado Gaming Lambda and Primal Instinct Red, and we can already see Primal Instinct already acting a bit different compared to first games. They're going for an invade at level 1.
I don't think you go for this. I mean,
5-stack invade bot. I mean, like I said, I would expect them to invade top side to avoid this thresh. They're spotted. Really good ward by Jilly there.
my friend that I play with has a really good rule when it comes to these types of games, and that rule is to always ward the tri-bush, because
that's what I do, yeah.
No matter what, you will have someone coming from one side or another, and if you're caught lacking, you die. And like Jinx went so far out of the jungle because they saw them, and they're not even phased by it at all. So I'm assuming Ivern will be trying to cheekily take this red buff. Is Thresh gonna walk in? No, they're not. Okay, he's smarter than that, so Kobita.
See if they go for it.
For that. I don't think they're. I think they know. They might try to like think that they're going for it, but when they see them and what is going on? What are they doing?
They got the deep ward.
Yeah, I guess they just wanted extra vision, maybe just to see where exactly Wukong is, like if he wants to start or if he ever pats down bot lane. Maybe just.
Yeah, the only issue with that ward is you don't catch him on red. You'd catch him on Raptors if he did start bot side, but you're a little later on knowing where his jungle pathing is. Getting the ward actually in the lane closer towards red buff would spot him earlier. I'm assuming by now, since he's not getting the camp up, you'd know he's top side, or at least guess he's top side.
Yeah.
Wukong pathing down makes a lot of sense. Ivern pathing up also makes a lot of sense. You kind of have to play towards this Kled, because that's your early game, the early game lane that you have pressure in to play towards. So both of the jungle pathings make a lot of sense. We'll see if Ivern does actually invade his bot side, which looks like he's doing.
They saw him though. He walked over the ward that was there.
Yeah.
I think he's just gonna steal this. Yoink.
Yeah. Goes
Okay.
right.
He's here. We'll see if he goes for a gank. Actually, I don't think he would. He's level 2, but he might.
Wukong is pinging there, and he is going to the top side. They will see this when he goes there. So whether or not this actually draws the rotate, we'll have to wait and see. He's scanning, and he did not.
He actually avoids the ward. I don't think he's spotted on that based on the pathing he took. He's right on the edge. Yeah, he's not spotted. He'll be spotted as soon as he starts taking it. So now, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Which means Ivern will probably go to invade his entire bot side and take at least Raptors. But I think Wukong can just go red Krugs potentially, or just go red Raptors and just pressure mid.
Naka planning on there from Rakan. The traps do come out and they do land, but the Glacial makes it harder for Kobita to follow up. Already getting a bit of use out of that Keystone.
Alright, so there is a very high chance that I'm going to make a scripting joke with the Xerath being here, because every single Xerath I've played against never misses, and it makes me so sad every time.
Just speaking of not missing. Mid lane, yeah. Both mid laners landing their stuns. Auto tracks are getting traded back and forth, but River not wanting to proc the egg just yet.
I think you wait for your jungler if you want to proc the egg, to be honest. And that way it kind of guarantees that she dies no matter what, because if it was just Xerath, he has to wait on all of his cooldowns before we can, actually do the damage he needs to do. So smart choice to not try to go for the kill. Oh, goodbye, Scarl.
Yeah, Outrage just putting the pressure on the Fortune there in the top lane. Already ahead of him in terms of farm and already dismounting him this early.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing the Scion get so much pressure in this lane with how much trading power Kled has early. It is a Scion, so it's hard to fight him. But Scion early really doesn't have the damage to keep up with extended trades, especially with Conqueror on Kled. So it's interesting to see how this lane go this way. We'll see if he gets some jungle pressure here, because even with the remount, he is fairly gankable.
Oh yeah.
We'll see what Wukong goes for here.
Looks like he's going back to his wolves and or not. He's not going to his wolves. I think he's going to go check his bot side and see if he can catch Ivern lacking, which is not going to be the case because Ivern had already taken the whole thing, and they will meet in the jungle now.
Just face check right there. He is able to land his E and his Q. Does have the rev buff ticking, but he hasn't committed to anything yet. Wants to wait for River to get around the corner, but River not going to commit to it quite yet as the Nivea is right behind him.
Yeah. I mean, Ivern damage early is deceptively high. Like, you don't think he does as much damage as he actually does. So the 2v2 early on is kind of scary, even though Ivern doesn't have red buff. So yeah, just playing it safe, just not flipping the game, going for the 2v2, which makes sense. As the Kled is gaining some pressure back on this push out. Which,
I mean, if it was any other jungler, I mean, not Ivern, someone who can do damage, I imagine he probably takes the fight pretty confidently. But
yeah,
with it being Ivern, you're not expecting him to do tons of damage. This TP is going to finish before he's done healing, so that's a very interesting choice.
I mean, it's an with egg and Rivered does get hit by the root, but he's able to
tower
flash
shots.
out in time.
It autoed a minion too. Wow.
Yeah. Was potentially killing Nivea just too far out of range to actually get it secured. I mean, this Xerath with no flash, you can definitely play towards this with how much push Nivea will have. It's much easier for her to pressure knowing that the Xerath doesn't have to flash as much. Trading bot lane.
Kavita there.
Okay, one thing that just came to mind is we got to be wary of these two. Like, either team has to be wary of these AD carries, whichever one gets ahead. Because if either of them are untouched, or if Xayah is left with her feathers out in a really good place to where she can have a nasty pullback, that can spell disaster for like either one of these teams. And Fallen Warrior going in.
Yeah, Dilly decided to cancel the base.
Yeah, base cancel is really good because you do force them to base on a neutral wave. We'll see if I would assume Zyricon hard push this wave, deny a wave from Jinx to kind of regain this CS lead that they've had because they've already taken their base, which they do as well. And then they might get a plate off this as well. Not knowing where Wukong is, it's a bit dangerous, but I think they might know he's topside, or at least assume he is, so they'll go for it. Yeah, they are.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so now we're slow. We're not getting as much action as we got in game 1, that's for sure. But Dorado do have a 300. Okay, now it's back to 100. So
it's pretty even.
It's pretty even, yeah. And I thought it, because at first it was like a 300-400 gold lead, but then it kind of just backtracked. So now we're kind of expecting like some pressure to be brought down towards these dragons, which, as you can see right now, you know, getting some vision in the river. Wukong is topside. I do not imagine. Yeah, okay, they're gonna start it right now. So it is Ocean. I think I said I was the one that said it was gonna be Ocean, so I just get cucked again. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. DVZ Freak, the well-known first dragon predictor.
I will say, Ivor's been doing really well with his early pathing to deny Wukong a lot of camps and pressure, so this Drake should be free for them.
Ooh, he tried to go for the hook there, but not really gonna do much damage, especially when you have the smite on hand. So good job for Flex to hit that, and those, wow, that trap did not hit. I thought it actually would. Whoa, Fallen Warrior gonna
lose. Does land, but it got the flay coming out. They aren't gonna follow up with a death sentence though, but pretty solid trading coming out there from Kavita and Dilly.
I'm not sure why you would try. I mean, I get it, you're trying to create pressure, but like your Xayah is kind of a mile away, and I mean, sure, the extended range on the E, I mean, he can get back to her pretty easily, but still, like, you gotta be a little safer than that. So Ivern here is level 5. They're looking for a fight.
Oh, flash forward from Rakan. He is able to land a knockup, but forces the Dilly. The exhaust gets dropped, and Kobita forced the flash as well. Hook does come out, but Domination able to sidestep it. And that's going to be 2 flashes blown for 1 exhaust and a flash coming out from Fallen Warrior.
Yeah, it's a really good start to the fight. The Ivern root does miss, so they don't get a kill off that play. I think if that hit, they would definitely kill at least one of them. But, I mean, getting both flashes off these bot laners is really strong. It allows Ivern to play even more up and aggressive than they already have been. Yeah, the repeat gank is definitely available. The Wukong is here to cover if it is.
Boy,
I'll be looking for something here. Kobita not able to land it, and the traps aren't able to secure any roots there, so do see Primal Instinct able to get away from this fight, and they might not even want to take any further fights. We do see the domination is pretty low in terms of mana.
He's looking for it.
We do see Wukong. He does use his clone to get into the bush, but the wave shoved in just a tad, and they're going to try to take the reset here. Rivered gets a bit of vision over on the enemy Raptors before he comes back to the wave. And other than that, it's just a relatively even game.
Wow.
Yeah, with these drafts, it's as slow as I was expecting it to be. A little bit slower. But, yeah, both of these teams are happy to scale with the picks that they have. The big thing is trying to get pressure around mid and bot for these dragons. That's the big thing we'll be looking at, because these heralds should be Primal Instincts, because the 2v2 top is favored on their side, I would think, with this Colette having much more damage than the Scion early, even though he doesn't have steel caps completed.
Drifter being taken, or at least Flex just starting to go at it.
They're collapsing. Well, not exactly collapsing, but Xerath and Wukong are aware of this, but I think they see the Rakan. He just hit 6 a little bit ago. So this is very risky if they decide to go for it. The Herald will be secured by Primal, so we're already getting better objective control, better map movement, I would argue, as well. Yeah. So they're playing much better this game. And
Kavita, he did land the death sentence and went over the wall. does get stunned up by the Anivia. River dropping the Zerath ultimate as well. Lands a stun onto the Anivia, but the Ivern's right around the corner. The massive shield and forces the flash out of River here in the mid lane. Oop, stun connects once again.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job of playing really aggressively with this Anivia passive. Because even though Anivia is really low, she has the egg, so she doesn't actually die when you kill her the first time. So you can play that far forward, try to force out summoners, which they do eventually force out the splash from Zerath. As we have a bit of trading in top line, I don't think it'll amount to very much.
No.
Yeah.
They both do negative damage to each other.
Yeah,
well,
they both don't
Scion
hurt
doing
each
more
other,
damage.
really.
And the Scion obviously will do more damage, but Kled kind of doing negative damage to him. Gets dismounted, so this dive is potentially possible if they decide to commit to
Yeah,
it.
they can at least get flash out. It's a bit hard now that it's a 2v2 now that they've spotted Ivern. Don't think they'll go for it.
Yeah, definitely not. That shielding coming up from Ivern's going to be pretty tough. And
Yeah, makes this dive really hard, especially if you can get Kled to live long enough just to get the remount. You can very easily make a dive that would force a flash into both of you dying under tower, or at least one of you, which you don't want to have happen. You don't want this Kled to get any gold, or as little as possible, because if he starts getting items under his belt, he'll be very scary for the 2 carries on Dorado Gaming.
River stepping up forward, eats the E from the Anivia as well as the electrocute. Unable to land some of his skill shots there and ends up losing the trade to Alpha Sean, who's just perma-R'ing, which is a classic Anivia gameplay.
Yeah, not really too riveting of Anivia gameplay, just what happens. And the gold leads across the map aren't really that big. Everything is within at least a few hundred gold of each other. So that kind of goes to show like where the state of this game currently is like where they're playing it out, they're getting their items, they're scaling. I imagine this next Drake we might have a little bit of a fight. It's 23 seconds away.
Trying to get sidestep, but River also sidestep his stun. Wukong over the wall, and there goes the egg. And this very well might be the first kill of the game if they can get this damage pumped out just in time, and it will be. And now in the bot lane, a fight just breaks out, and Kobita gets caught out, possibly by the Ivern route, if I'm not mistaken. Direct to camera didn't show at first, but that's going to be 1-for-1 across sides of the map, and first one going in at 12.5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I think that was probably the longest first blood that I can recall of all the games that you and I have casted. Most of them have generally been within the first like 5 or 6 minutes. Dragon will also go over as well. It does not look like Wukong is going to try to go for the steal. Actually, he pinged it, so they might try for it.
He does have flash, but oh.
Never mind.
It's Hextech, okay.
It is a Hextech soul. Okay, cool. Well. Who called it? I forgot.
None of us.
I don't think any of us called it. You called Hextech the first game.
I did, yeah.
I didn't call it this time.
So we're getting baited by the game. I see.
We are, yeah.
All right. We're just not on a prediction game today, except for DBZ, who has successfully predicted the first dragon 2 games in a row by accident.
I'll take that. That's a dub in my eye. All right, so bringing it back a little bit, 13 minutes into the game, it's still only like a 400 or 500 gold lead for Dorado. At this point in the game, I think they were already up like 3.5, 4K. So this goes to show that like the adaptation from Primal is finally set in. Like this is what they needed. They needed to kind of chill it back, get those advantages where they needed them to. And I actually want to play a quick little fun game. I want to see how much bonus health Scion has before they start duking it out. Okay, let's get a gander. Click on that Scion. Let's see. We got 562 bonus health coming in.
Oh boy,
that's a lot already. He's been stacking really quickly. It's a little bit faster than normal, I think. But that's 562 bonus health already in 14 minutes is quite a lot. Especially with the steel caps and Warden's Mail completed, this Kled is never killing the Scion 1v1.
Yeah, especially considering it's like Kled, if I'm not mistaken, is going Gourd Drinker, I would think.
Looks like it, yeah.
So, definitely going to be tough to take him out, but he does have the Ivern to help him, but the Ivern unable to land the root there. Ivern gonna potentially get caught out. It does have the Scion ulti dropped on top of him, unable to land the knockup, is able to land some of the extra damage, but Wukong right around the corner, not able to get on top of him. They end up trying to just take out Daisy. And back to the mid lane, the Mages is constantly duking it out. River's stuck in the middle of the Anivia ulti and forced the flash out of it.
Okay, well done. Forces the flash out of the Xerath. I mean, nothing really expected too much to come out of that top lane. I mean, Kled is barely gonna tickle the Scion because that's just how that champion is. Ivern will just also barely tickle the Scion.
He doesn't even care.
Yes. So just whacking away at the tower.
There's a mosquito that loves trees in front of him while he's taking tower plates. Why do we fight here?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Kled
they
ulti
did-
coming
oh,
up from
wow.
a mile deep, flash forward coming up from the Ivern to land the root and secure it, but it just depends on
This
if
is
Forgy has enough
why.
damage. Flash out from Outrage onto the tower, and I don't think they're going to be able to dive him.
He can
but
turn
they're
this.
still going to try anyway. If he gets a shield
Stop.
back, I think it's going to be more than enough, but he
Okay.
is able to kill him. Kobita pulls up after a
We're
roam,
gonna give it to Outrage.
unable to land it.
Never mind.
Unable
the
to land
kill.
the death sentence, but Wukong able to go 1-for-1 in that trade. And I mean, realistically, with the amount of summoners that was blown, I don't think Outrage is too annoyed about that.
Yeah, I think he's happy with that. I mean, they got a kill on mid lane. You saw Nivea died there, and then there's enough. He bought enough time for Wukong to path up to top and get a kill on Ivern. So, as a total play, it's a 2-for-1 trade across the map, which is huge for them. As much as this Ivern is ahead in farm now with those 2 kills, Wukong kind of is even or a little bit ahead now, even though gold is pretty even. Let's see. Yeah, it's like 200 gold difference.
200, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I'm really curious what happened in the mid lane, because it looks like Alphashon died might have had flash up. I don't know if Wukong ganked him, but I do see the
It looks like I think he probably I think he WR flashed onto him when he had low health because he had no passive, and you're 100 to 0 in that case because he doesn't have ulti now and he didn't use it top lane. So I think that's what happened. If Anivia didn't burn flash, you probably got 100 to 0 in CC. I would hope.
Oh, Silence taking it to Rakan here.
Oh, good hook.
Fallen Warrior able to land the W, and the root does land onto the Scion. Scion targeted by 4 people. Kobita drops the cage, only able to hit 1. Rakan landing his charm onto 3 people, but Wukong gets a massive ultimate onto 3 or 4 people, forces a flash ultimate out of domination there, and they're all forced to fall back. Shutdown goes over to Fochi though, and he is able to get the rebound until he does try to pump out as much damage as possible, but Kled is right on top of him. The Gore Drinker keeps him alive for just that much longer, and the disengaged comp has executed in spades here as Primal Instinct Red is able to pick up quite a number of kills here. Ooh, Zera trying to get some stragglers here. Lands the Q, and that's going to be the snipe coming out from River, and he's able to land the stun. Alphashon flashes up the wall. River trying to get the kill, but it's just not going to be enough. I mean, that was, what, like a 3 for 2 or something? Or 4 for 2?
I think it's a 4 for 2, yeah. I think everyone but the Jinx died, and that's exactly what this comp is designed to do. You get engaged on, but no one can die with the amount of disengage they have. Rakan ultimate, Xayah ultimate, and Anivia has so much zoning. Daisy from Ivern and the Kled ultimate as well to dive onto their backline while they're trying to dive onto you. Really well executed, especially from Forchi there. He played that fight really well, just completely taking this Jinx and Xerath out of the fight for most of it. So Xayah was able to ult flash out, even having to burn summons, but still lived for most of it. Got clipped by the Xerath Q at the end, but almost was a 4 for 1 there.
Oh, Kobita landing the death sentence as Alphashon tries to pull up and deny the dragon take, but it's just not gonna happen. Xayah shows up at the same time, but decides to turn away.
Good death. Get top tier 1. Get top tier 1. It's a good death.
I guess.
Listen,
Nah, that was a little weird. Okay, whatever. So the Hextech Drake does go over. It stops the soul stacking, which I thought would have been very crucial for Primal Instincts. I think they should, after that fight, should have just went to the Dragon instead, but they opted for the Herald. Doesn't. We're fighting.
The Lion ultimate under the tower. He's able to end the lockup onto the 2. Yeah. Kobita lands the death sentence, and that's a dead Xayah. And that should be a dead first tower for the side of Lambda. And we do see Zera trying to get his ultimate out, but it's just not going to connect. The top tower
does get mid tier as well.
He's not scripting, guys.
It's definitely possible. Kled had base, and now he's TPing in, trying to stop.
Is he press R?
That's the took.
No
any Kled
way.
player was just waiting for this R, and he doesn't pull the trigger on it this time around.
Yeah, getting that kill is huge. That shutdown going on a Jinx just completely neutralizes the gold lead that Domination kind of got off of the back of the last fight. And the big thing is with that play around Dragon stopping this Drake stacking, Hextech Soul is really good for the side of Dorado Gaming. That's a lot of attack speed on those Jinx, and it makes it a lot harder for them to kite back if they do get this soul. So if you're Primalistic, you really don't want to let them get these Hextech Drakes and get the soul for yourself, so that doesn't become an issue for you later in the game.
Look at the 80 carry gold. They're pretty much like 30 gold apart. That's
yeah, they're pretty identical. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. But I mean, and one thing I'm going to point out once again, and we said it at the end of draft: no cleanse again for Domination.
Yeah.
If he has cleanse there, he gets out of that. And it's just going to show just like how punishing it can be to not bring them. I don't even think the game went late enough last time for Mikhail's to even be bought, but
no, it did not. Yeah,
it's just it's just you got to understand, especially with these CC heavy comps with the Thresh. You know, you have Xerath and you have Scion as well. It's just taking that cleanse is a good little one-way ticket to be able to get out of these fights. I mean, he didn't have ult anyway, so it entirely didn't matter.
No ulti, no flash, no heal, and he just gets punished for playing where he thought he was safe. I mean, when you're playing against a Scion and a Wukong, you have to be expecting at least the possibility of a dive, and you can get 100% 100 to 0 in CC with the Xerath and Jinx follow-up damage. So just not respecting the dive there, getting caught out with no summoners. And for this next fight, he's still no flash on both AD carries, actually. So we'll see if either one of them gets caught out by something, because neither one of them have cleanse. So and neither one of them have flash. And even though Domination got caught that last time with no ultimate, he's a lot safer in these fights when he has it. So really, if you're Primal Instinct, you're just looking to try and find a flank, find an angle to catch this Jinx, and it makes these fights a lot harder for them to play, because that's most of their damage, aside from the Xerath as well.
Really, I'm going to be up to Rakan and Kled to get to her. I mean, there's only so much he's going to be able to do. They're posturing for get some vision clearing on, but there's so many wards. You know, there's one here behind the blue buff ward is getting ready to die. I mean, they have a pink in the back. So I don't think they're going to even try to go for something like this, but it would be kind of cheeky. Jinx, I think when she gets her IE, they might threaten to try to two-man it with her and Wukong. Right now, and not so much. Let's see what Sion's bonus health is, out of curiosity.
Might be close to 1k now. 800,
812.
He's gotten 400 bonus health in the last 5 minutes, or 6 minutes.
Wow. That's kind of impressive.
Yeah. And yeah, I would expect both these teams to play pretty slow, just waiting for these item spikes. You're waiting for Navori on Zai, you're waiting for IE on Jinx, waiting for this death cap on Xerath. You just want to get these item completions through, so in that next fight you have that extra little bit of damage, because as we saw that last fight, all of the members on Primal Instinct were 300-400 health by the end of it. So that IE on Jinx and death cap on Xerath will makes them a lot scarier in these fights if they can get them before this next fight. In about a minute's time, we'll probably see it around Dragon. I don't expect either team to try and threaten Baron here, even though they do have fairly fast take with both of these AD carries. Before they get their big spikes, it's a bit hard.
Yeah, I'm looking across the board right now. I mean, Rakana's backing probably going to finish really Gnuck's component of his item. I don't think Xayah is close enough for quick blades, but I think Jinx should be on IE gold. Oh, no, never mind. She just backed, so she's not on IE.
She's about like 200 gold short, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Roughly.
Oh, no, way under like 600.
Oh, yeah, she's 625 to completion, so she's 500 gold short-ish. And there is the quick blades on Xayah, actually.
Yep. Okay.
So this next fight is Primal Instinct favorite, I would say. I mean, one AD carry has their breakpoint, the other one doesn't. So this death cap does come through for Xerath, though. So that is one full item lead in the mid lane. That's the big thing, is if you get this Xerath, I think the fight is so favorite. We'll have it here.
I look for an engage here, forcing the flash out of Kobita as the Ivern route is just too much of a threat with the follow-up engage that they have. And yeah, there's a Kled engage. They just throw all their damage on Outrage and only took about the half HP. Rakan forced to try to go in for the W, but it's just not going to connect. The chain CC is layering him on too much. Wukong gets a nice angle here on the Wukong. Oh, he gets a knock-up, and dang, that was a pretty big redemption coming out for the Ivern, but it's just not going to be enough damage as Wukong picks up the kill on him. Kled gets hit by the sun, and he gets hit by the hook.
They could keep going here, but they should get Drake.
Yeah.
Dude, stop giving Kobita Thresh. This dude is so good on it. That's honestly one thing that's like stopped them from being able to get these fights that they want is Kobita. The same thing happened in game 1 when Fortune was on Kennen. I mean, just get hooked and just couldn't go any further, and just that was it. That was the end of the fight. Now they get the Dragon. That puts them on 2. They're turning towards the Baron, I imagine, because I mean, Ivern really doesn't have anything that he can be able to try and steal it with. So this will be their Baron as well, and the gold lead will just balloon even more, and I think this will also blow the game wide open for them. Now we've seen some crazy things, so a steal is possible.
Yeah, he is somewhat nearby. With these Hex Gates, he has a lot easier time getting here. The Baron down to about 8,000 health. They burst it really quickly with this Jinx damage, although they're probably going to peel off. Don't want to threaten the fight. Yeah, because if they do fight with no cooldowns, their gold is not on the map. They're still behind, even though they have a 3k gold lead. They haven't gotten their items on the map yet, so it would be the exact same situation as last fight. And speaking of last fight, the initial fight looked good, but the problem is you spend all of your crowd control on the Scion, and he's perfectly fine to tank all of it. And especially with that Thresh Lantern, even though he's chunked to half HP, he just gets out for free. And the re-engage is really clean there by Kobita, like you guys were saying. And Maui over the wall to find the other 2 picks and just completely getting the Drake for free there. And yeah, they played it really well for the side of Dorado Gaming.
Looking at summoners right now, and pretty much the only thing that's down on the side of Primal Instinct is the flash on the Kled. And, well, I mean, arguably, Kled doesn't really need flash per se, because if he gets caught and his ult is up, he can just ult out. And that's pretty much it. I mean, the heal too, but you don't really need the heal per se. It's just to survive anything that might get a little cheeky or try to catch a pick. And then you have flashes on all the other side except for Kobita, who honestly doesn't need flash because my man's just too good.
He's
Kobita
chilling.
might get caught out here.
Speaking of chilling, he's probably going to die here with no flash. Although they might actually look for a re-engage if they chase too far.
He uses the fillet, but it's not going to be enough. At least I don't think so.
Dead.
As Outrage tries to bail him out, but it's just not going to be enough. He drops the box, gets a bit of damage out, but he was stuck clearing way too many wards for way too long.
Yep.
Forty does get hit by quite a bit of damage, but there's not much of a commit come from the side of Dorado Gaming Lambda here.
They do have Scion ult, so they could go for
Scion
it.
lets pull the trigger onto the
Scion
Xayah. TP comes out from the Anivia, if I'm not mistaken, from across the map, and they force the ultimate off of the Xayah. And now Ivern's just isolated away from the team. Double flash coming out from both the carries, and Dilly's able to pick up the reset onto the Ivern, and now Fochi is just stunned up. And the Jinx ultimate super mega death rocket able to pick up a double kill, and the W zaps slow onto Alpha Sean, and he fails the flash over the wall, and Dilly picks up a triple kill, and that's probably going to be the Baron going over to the side of Dorado Gaming.
They keep letting him first pick Jinx, and it's not going too well for them in these mid to late game team fights. Yeah, Flex just caught really out of position there, and I mean, the damage on these 2 carries is massive. 12 stack Magi's, Death Cap, Ludens, IE, Krakens that are completed on the Jinx as well. It was an angle that I didn't think there was, but Outrage just fully sending it on the Xayah there, forcing her ulti, completely getting the AD carry out of the fight, which is where most of Primal Instinct's damage is on this Xayah, because this Anivia only has Landry's completed and a tier fully stacked, but that's not enough damage in this point in the game.
No, it's not anywhere near. And I mean, it's like we said what would happen if, like, especially that focal point with them trying to draft around the Anivia and Xayah. So Anivia behind. Xayah kinda, she's behind now. I mean, 5-0 Jinx, so never mind. Behind.
Yeah, after the triple kill, it's hard, but yeah, close.
I don't want to say that that this Ivern pick was bad. I just think that there were better picks. I mean, Ivern has been good being there in those fights that he's needed to, but I just wish they had a more aggressive jungler to go in with this draft, because then I believe the game would be a lot more even than it is right now. And Kobita's about to get a free hook.
Yeah, he doesn't throw it out quite. Yeah, he does eat the root, but he doesn't get engaged on this time around. And the Dragon is coming up in about a minute, so there's going to be a lot of contention here, though. Death Sentence does land, follow up the stun by the Xerath, but the Mega Death Rocket comes out. The Xerath ultimate is trying to get piled onto this guy, and Kobita flash over the wall, lands the hook onto Domination with no cleanse available. Rakan forced to flee. Dilly picks up the reset, and he's going to come further and further into the lane, but he's not going to be able to get another kill at all. But still, that's 2 for nothing for the side of Dorado, and they've got the Baron. They're ready to push.
Kobita's doing his best carry cosplay in this game. Holy. Finding 2 crucial hooks there, and I mean, every single shot of the Xerath ulti landing makes them all really low HP, so they have to go back to base cave and stop the push.
Point blank. Dilly hitting a couple of shots onto Anivia, but it's taking like 4 tower shots there. Not going to be enough damage to take him out. A bit overzealous there, but they are able to get that mid inhib for free, and they might look to see if they can get the bot inhib as well.
Should be able. It's a bit hard with death timers. They might be able to get this tower and then have to back off here, because your Jinx is not going to fight.
I get instantly stunned up by the Xerath, and he's just got no damage to continue the fight. Maui trying to get away from there, uses the clone. This Xerath is just keeping their carries just zoned out of this fight completely. Throws another Q onto Alpha Sean, forces him to go away, and Silence is taking all the damage. Super Mega Death Rocket from across the map, and it picks up the kill onto the Xayah. Outrage with the ultimate. Zones out this Ivern, and he's getting ready for the Q. Xerath ultimate back up with that very low CD. Forgy's forced to go under both of his towers, and Alpha Sean extremely low. Is the flash available? No, it isn't. River just zoning out the rest of the team. The remount comes in, but it's going to be way too late. The Baron minions are here.
It's prey on Jinx and carry on Thresh in this game. This bot lane has performed so well in these last 2 games. It's been crazy. And we'll most likely see the Nexus go down here. Yeah. And that's a 2-0 lead for Dorado Gaming after a really strong mid to late game after a very even early game from both these two teams.
I mean, there's 2 points of contention you can say, to be completely honest with you. I mean, you have, like, I think Primal will get side selection because they did lose this game. I think you have to go blue side and take the Jinx because Dilly has been just showing time and time again that this man can play it. And they don't have to really, do the same bans if they want to. They can ban out the Thresh from Kobita, force him on something else. Then next thing we know, Homeboy just whips out Blitzcrank and does the same thing.
Yeah.
But just the point is like, you understand, like, the strongest point of Dorado right now are their bot lane. I mean, sure, yes, the rest of the map is doing just great, just as well. But like every time we've got to that mid to late game, Dilly and Kobita have stepped up. It's just just how good that these two players are.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of insane.
After these 2 games, this Jinx has to be pick ban or the Thresh's pick ban. I mean, it's really tough. Do you want to let the Jax through after what happened in game 1 and ban this Jinx and the Thresh? Do you want to ban those, or do you want to keep banning the Jax, ban the Jinx, leave the Thresh open, pick it? Yeah, you just have to go blue side, pick one of these things away, change something up. You don't want to give them what looks like their best performing bot. I mean, these 2 games, I don't think you'd want to give it to them again. I certainly wouldn't want to play into that again.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, they made some adjustments and they held on for quite a bit. I mean, compared to the first game, first blood didn't happen, I think, till 12 and a half
12
minutes.
and a half minutes,
Yeah, 12 and a half minutes, yeah.
So, and even then, they started out ahead. So, like, you made some decent changes, but now you got to go back to the drawing board again because now you're on the back foot. You're down 0-2, and it's now or never.
Yeah, the early game was really strong. They got both dragons. They got, I'm pretty sure, both heralds as well. And gold lead was pretty even right up until about the 20-ish minute mark. They had a small gold lead there after the one fight around the Baron around the herald at like 18 minutes. But they just couldn't capitalize on their early game and the pressure they got on the Drakes and early soul. And the game just got away from them after a few really strong fights from Dorado Gaming.
Yep, I agree. So, wow, here we are, game 3. It turns out that Primal and Sync Red could not bring it back and get us to a 1-1. They are now on the back foot. They need to reverse sweep in order to keep going in these playoffs. We don't got a lower bracket. If you lose, you're done. And then whoever wins this series goes on to the finals, which are next Saturday. So, we're going to take a short little break. But when we get back, it will be game 3 between these 2 teams. Stay tuned.
Ban Jinx.
back. We are here for game 3 between these two teams. Once again, still a best of 5, so that's why we're here. Now, on the back foot, Primal are down 2-0. They need to come up with something here. They need to take the Jinx. They need to ban the Thresh. They need to do these changes for this series in order to like start the potential of a reverse sweep. And that's something we were talking about off air. Now, can they do it? We have to wait and see. I mean, are these like it's just mind blowing just how good this bot lane is, and they're not prioritizing like picks that can get to them and bans that can take them away from them.
Yeah. Just do something to get this bot lane shooken up, because both of these games they've been able to just play early game pretty safe. I mean, this Jinx last game had a 20 CS lead at 15 minutes because just nothing was happening aside from like the one gank that Kobita died to later on. But you need to disrupt this bot lane and not let them just sit and play the game and let them scale to late game, because you know their team fighting is going to be really strong. Draft is starting, so we'll see if there are any changes. Primal Instinct is on blue side this time.
Yep.
There is the Olaf ban. Okay.
Yeah, they are sticking with it. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of having top lane drafts, or like even if it isn't top lane, if it's jungle, that's totally fine. But yeah, if you're throwing this many top bans early on, it's probably not the best idea. But I do know that some champions or some people just don't like playing against certain champions. There's just mental block against them. So.
And if it's your read that top lane is their strong suit, then banning out comfort picks from top is not necessarily a bad idea. It's just after these last 2 games, I'd like to see a little bit more change up. And there's a Shaco ban again. I mean, it's been working for them. There must have been some experience there. I'll never get over Shaco bans. It's just you're only banning that champion if someone one tricks it, or if you've had a horrific experience that you never want to have again. That's the only time you ban Shaco. Is one of those 2 scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting ban to say the least. But what's more interesting is what PI is going to ban on
There's
third.
The Thresh. We've done it. We've done it. We've done it. Now, do we first pick Jinx? They did.
Oh, they did it.
Let's go. Now, here's the thing. There's still a lot of bot lanes available. Ooh, that's really good. Now, what they can do is they can go Tristana Nautilus, they can go Kai'Sa Nautilus, they can do the Zyrakan themselves. All of these are very good into the Jinx. Because you're assuming with the Jinx, since Thresh is banned, it's probably going to be a Lulu. Oh, Veigar. Are they going to go Veigar Alistar bot lane?
Okay,
Diana. Okay, interesting. They're going for it in this draft. Lee Sin. Oh, okay.
They are. I mean, considering how the first 2 games went, all I can really say is just let them cook. For
Wukong.
now,
I like that better. I like Wukong better.
Yeah.
As good as Lee Sin is, it's a lot easier to draft around a Lee Sin than Wukong is. Wukong is a lot better in more drafts, and it's easy to draft against a Lee Sin. And there's the Alistar pick away, because Veigar Alistar is really strong. So as a flex pick, you'd kind of need to pick Alistar away, because they can pick it on R3. It's not great for the Jinx lane, still pretty good. It gives her a lot of appeal, and there's a lot of engage for your team fights later. And there's Taric. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. Still good. I mean, Jinx works with most supports, so you can never really go wrong, unless you're picking like Lux or something, or Pyke. Then you're kind of picking wrong. But she works with most supports, and there's a Mumu in the jungle. Okay, just get into Wukong. We'll see if this something to work with. Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility here.
But yeah, as far as the ball lane,
Blitzcrank
right now. Oh my god,
is he gonna do it?
I swear to God.
Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Come on, lock it in. Lock it in.
We got 9 seconds, 8 seconds.
It's either this or Pyke. I want to see this or Pyke. Come on.
5, 4, 3.
Silence.
2,
okay.
1.
Now, if that's Silas support, it could be Silas support. I doubt it. There's like a 0% chance it's Silas support, but it can be. Silas is really good in their comp with Taric, Mumu. I mean, 2 amazing ults, and they're most likely going to ban it if you leave it open. So it's a really strong pick on R3, and if your ban goes through, makes sense. One of the mid laners' most comfortable champions. It's a good ulti for Silas, but the lane is a little bit awkward because you can never have kill pressure on Anivia, really. I would also expect Syndra ban potentially as well. Maybe Annie's also really good. Although it's a really good ult for Silas, we'll see what they opt for though. They could also ban potentially a good top counter pick for what they're looking to pick for top lane. But I would think they'd ban a couple counters for mid. I'm expecting Sindri or Annie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of picks that you can go for here. I mean, just looking at the Dorado Gaming Lambda's draft, it's very different. I mean, when you throw Vigar in, it's not a champion that you have to play against every single day, especially if it's going to be going bot lane, which seems to be could be the case into this.
Yeah, it seems like it is. I would expect Alistar with it, because that's like the Vigar bot lane combo is Vigar Alistar. It's horrifically unplayable to play against a lot of the time because the chain CC is insane. It's such a long CC chain. Ahri actually. Oh, whoa, hold on. Is it Silas support? Or is it Silas top?
I mean, you never know. I mean,
with these hovers, I don't know. Blind Aurelia is super cocky on R4. I really like it. Because the thing is you can flex both of these champions into top and mid. So you really don't know which one's going top, and you can lane swap depending on which matchup is better for you. Yone as well, same thing. I do like that they went for one of these solo lanes to be AD because you do have Vigar in the bot lane. A lot of carries in this draft, which is awesome to see. I love a bunch of carries.
I mean, right now, like before any other picks go through, like Dorado Gaming Lambda is essentially just ego checking at this point. Like you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, when you're drafting something like Silas, Irelia, Wukong, you're skill checking these people.
You're ego drafting 100%. Vladimir, that's interesting.
I mean,
it's a good lane into both of these champs, so you can kind of swap it either way. But I would expect it kind of solves their damage issue because they had very low damage in this comp. And Shen, another pick that's decent into both of these. The only issue is Shen ulti. If Silas is laning into Shen, you can always match Shen roam post 6 because you both have a Shen ultimate. Not the greatest, but I mean, it depends. That'll really only be a thing late game. And Senna Vigar is another Vigar lane that works really well, especially if you just don't care to have any frontline, because you have Aurelia, Silas, Wukong. All of those are bruisers that are going to be able to frontline for you just with their HP bars. So picking something like Senna, Ashe also works too. Anything that it'll give you a lot of more lane prio as well to play with a push, and so you can have this Wukong invade a lot more against this Amumu because you have early power. Yeah, they will go with Ashe. Okay, not what I was expecting, but still good for the lane.
Yeah, interesting draft to say the least. I'm gonna have to take a sec to think about this just on my own, off rip. So I think now would be a pretty solid time to bring in good old DBZ Free. To give us his opinion.
I don't like it. Either of them. To be completely honest. I mean, so on the side of Dorado, you have Ashe Vigar in the bot lane. So, I mean, that's pretty solid. You got a lot of utility down there. That kind of tells me that they really want Aurelia, Silas, and Wukong to carry this game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Dilly we're talking about. So, I mean, Homeway might just still come out of lane with 18 kills. We'll have to wait and see. Shen does provide a lot of protection. I mean, their comp kind of does say a protect the Jinx comp with Shen, Amumu, and with Taric. So it's like you're putting all your eggs in one basket and then leaving Vladimir way off in Yin Yang out of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to interrupt myself because 100 Thieves just lost in Game 5 to Golden Guardians. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're completely out of LCS playoffs. I mean, hey, whatever.
Whatever. Or as Forest Within said, goodbye to 100 frauds, Lamau. All right. Anyways, so back to what we have on hand here. I'm just PI, obviously. We're putting everything into Jinx. That's what we want. Vladimir will scale on his own in the mid lane, do his own thing. Cool. I mean, if that ends up going well, then sure, these two carries are going to pretty much pop off and destroy everything. Now, you don't really have any reliable tanks on the other side except Wukong. I say that in quotes because, you know, he builds a couple of tank items and he just kind of does whatever he wants. Now, I am hopeful that maybe this is what PI need, and they need just these two carries to just absolutely decimate everyone. But this also will require a lot of front-to-back team fighting, because Aurelia, Silas, and Wukong are gonna want to be in Jinx's face. So they need to peel for her, do all of these team fights, and I hope they understand that. Otherwise, this is gonna be a very, very quick night for us, and we're gonna be done in the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case. As like, personally, I mean, Dorado Gaming's draft is all about they're just going to outlane you, outscale you, just get a lead and snowball and roll over this game. Because the thing is if they don't get leads in lane, Primal Instinct's comp is way easier to execute, and they don't even need to get a lead early to utilize this comp to its full potential. You can just play out this game really slow, even go down by 1-2k if you need to, just to prevent things from getting out of control, and just play to the late game. Because as much as Vigar, Aurelia have really strong scaling, if this Jinx is allowed to play the game early, doesn't get punished, and you have the front line of Taric and Mumu Shen, you have this Vladimir, this Jinx has so much space just naturally with this team comp. So there's a lot of ways that they can go in this game even if they don't get an early lead, but I would expect Dorado Gaming to play really heavily towards these solo lanes, get them ahead, and just completely shake up this lane, and also get this Jinx behind, because that's their number one carry on this team. Really their only carry aside from this Vladimir if he does get a lead. But if you can just spam gank bot, get this Jinx 30 CS down, maybe a death or two, just completely disrupt this whole comp's identity, then Dorado Gaming can definitely take this game.
Indeed. And the Vladimir is another contention one I was going to think of, because I don't really expect Homeboy will be in the front too much. He'll be looking for those flanks on the Vigar and the Ashe to be able to potentially one-shot them if he gets ahead in this matchup. Against Sylas, that is going to be a little hard, I think. But, I mean, it's just, if that's the way it ends up going, then this mid lane could be very lopsided in favor of the Sylas, because Vladimir needs so much time to like, be that threat. It's no longer that 1-2 item that Vladimir used to need to be kind of obnoxious. Now he needs upwards of 3.5 before he can get to that point, especially with all the item changes that have come over the past 4 or 5 years. So this will be very interesting. I do believe that PI can execute this draft. That we saw in the last game that they can synergize with the draft that they pick. I mean, sure, we didn't like a couple of the picks, but that's no big deal. They showed us we could do it. I mean, they didn't win, but still.
Yeah, the early game was good. Yeah. So if they can play this draft to its strengths, just keep this bot lane even at the minimum, then they can definitely coast right into the late game and have a lot of power in these team fights with the amount of front line this Jinx has. You just got to make sure this Jinx lives through the early game and try to get just pump resources into this Jinx, because that's where all your gold needs to go in order for you to win these team fights consistently.
Yes. I mean, so in terms of control in certain areas, what are you expecting, Swift?
Yeah. As far as controlling goes, I think a lot of it is just on Dorado Gaming to make plays around the map. I mean, Shen is just going to be sitting off on an island by himself, and you definitely don't want to be forcing fights into a Taric in the bot lane at post 6 when Shen is able to be of use. So it's probably not the best idea to go for plays around there. Definitely go around looking for plays on your 2 lanes that aren't guaranteed to scale, because Veigar is going to be fine. There's not much room where Veigar is going to get randomly engaged on by a Taric unless Amumu's there already, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're Dorado, you have to play around that top and mid, try to get them accelerated, and if they are able to get accelerated, that just makes the game that much harder for this Jinx and this Vladimir to play the game as the game progresses.
Yeah.
Indeed. I definitely agree with you. So Vlad is going to be a very big contention point for me. I'm more looking towards Vladimir than I am the Jinx, because we've seen what Jinx can do in the last game when she doesn't get out of lane kind of hardcore fed. We saw that Dilly just still up in gold, up in pressure, and just with the help of with Kabito on that Thresh. No longer this time on the Vigar. So will this be a little tipping point in the favor of Primal Instinct? We're going to have to wait and see. I'm really curious about the runes as we're getting ready to get those on the screen here in a second. And okay, so...
triple TP.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
I like that.
I
was about to say this is Sylas top. Yeah, it's Aurelia mid. Now, it's a better matchup for Sylas into Shen. And Aurelia can really easily get mid push into Vladimir, whereas Sylas is a bit harder time. And like I said, before we got into this point, if Sylas is matching Shen post 6, they have the exact same roaming potential. So that really neutralizes the Shen ultimate, because now both teams will have a Shen ultimate available at that level 6 point. Now again, with Taric ultimate, it's still better for them in the 3v3. But yeah, there's it kind of neutralizes that power that Shen has.
I like the lethal tempo on the Aurelia. That's very interesting, because when she gets the passive stacked, that'll make that way more viable for her. I mean, typically when I play Aurelia, I go Conquer, and that's okay. And okay, that is a Vigar carry.
Future market, I like it.
Nice.
All right. Halo Blades on Ash. Okay, that's really
Yeah,
interesting.
makes sense. Is
I
he going for
wasn't
barrier or no?
watching-
He went ignite. Okay.
I wasn't watching the actual draft on the screen, so I'm now seeing this for the first time. So that's very, very peculiar, and I like this draft. But we're getting ready to go, and we're in Spectolate right now. So let's make it quick. Prediction: Dragon Soul. Who you guys got? Darter first.
Well, I want to see an Infernal Soul, especially with both of these comps. I think it'd be hilarious for the amount of damage that both of these comps have. In Vladimir with Infernal Soul does a lot of damage. Veigar with Infernal Soul does a lot of damage. And I think, personally, I like Primal Instinct's draft more, so I'll pick them because I do want to see them push us to a game 4.
Okay. Swift.
I'm gonna ask. I personally want to go for Infernal Dragon as well, Infernal Soul as well. I mean, I guess at the first 2 times, I'm not gonna give up on it for a 3rd time, so I guess I'll stick with Darter on that one. But I'll go for Dorado this time around. Like considering how they played out the first 2 games, I'm not gonna bet against them and say, "Oh, this is the game that they lose," especially when they're trying to ego check more or less compared to other games. So, yeah, I guess that's my prediction.
Okay. I think I'm also an Aurelia fan, so I'm also going to go Dorado. And I'm going to say we're going to get the second worst soul in the game, and that is Cloud Soul. And that is what this one is going to be.
I'll be so bad in this game.
Watch that be the first dragon now, because apparently I'm 2 for 2 for first dragons.
Because Cloud is good on Veigar, and it's good on the Wukong. It's good on this Jinx for the movement speed. It's good on the Taric. It's good on the Amumu for the ultimates, but it doesn't really do a whole lot holistically for this comp, because like everybody has a good ultimate that it reduces, so it's good for them, but it's not a fun one, really.
No, not really, but that'll do it for us here on the desk. We are going to go to a short break. Now, remember, Primal are down 2-0. They have to win this game, begin the reverse sweep in order for us to continue, or this will be it for them. We'll be back after this short break and see you guys on the Rift.
everybody. Welcome as we're getting into Game 3 of this Best of 5 series between Primal Instinct Red and Dorado Gaming Lambda. And we already see a 4-man stack up here, up in the top side for Primal Instinct.
Okay.
But they don't decide to go for it.
Nice, okay. I was going to say, if he steps up to try and get deep vision, that could be disastrous for them. They're 5 stacking in the bush, actually. Expecting a top invade, maybe? Interesting. Just a 5-point from them, though. So it won't amount to very much, and they'll reset here to not be late to their lanes.
I was about to say, because I'm like, if Wukong walks in, he kind of just dies instantly.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Whew, okay, but I mean, good little heads-up play from Primal. I mean, making us seem like that, you know, they had a plan for this 5-man stack that they had going on. Now, Amumu will be starting on the bot side because it is faster to get a leash from the Jinx. He'll just go up to Raptors. He'll do that in like 5 seconds and then be on his way towards the top side. Now, whether or not it's to keep the Sylas down, probably. I mean, I'm not familiar with Outrage playing Sylas, so this will be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah.
River, on the other hand, on the Aurelia, I'm fully expecting, I won't say like a hard advantage, but if River is really good about his cooldowns, baiting out that pool that Vlad does, I think it is a very, very telegraphed matchup between pretty much anyone who plays against the Vladimir. He'll always go for the sustain. He'll naturally win, but once she gets that Vamp Scepter, I believe that is when she will start getting ahead. Wow, fully stacked passive already, getting a lot of damage down.
Yeah. I was gonna say that Aurelia is his number 1 champ in the mid lane, so I'm expecting great things here. Already a really good trade for him. This is gonna be probably a much spicier game based on these picks, as we have a heavy trading in the bot lane.
All right, 2 minutes. We're chilling. We're chilling.
No first blood yet.
We've been kind of having a little bit of hypey series in Game 1, especially. Game 2 was a little more chill. Maybe this one will be even more chill. I doubt it, actually, because some...
Great
some
trade from Outrage.
Wow. Okay, I take it back. This game is not going to be chill. It is going to go crazy because Outrage apparently knows how to play Sylas really well. I'm dumb and whatever. So
nice double cage and
here.
Yeah. Oh, stun does land. But Domination just is not level 2. They're both level 1. Kobita is level 2, however. Amumu looking for a potential gank. River goes onto the tower, takes the tower shot, as you mentioned. Does land the flawless to it, but doesn't decide to go in. Seeking to go in. Outrage looking for the fall in there on the bot lane now. Second bandage toss should be available. The flex first blood goes over to Domination. Flash forward, they land this double kill. Going over to the bot lane of Primal Instinct Red as they get first blood and then some in Game 3.
Yeah, Primal Instinct doing exactly what I would hope they're doing, just funneling this Jinx as early as you possibly can. You know that this Veigar Ashe are really weak early. They don't have any damage really to fight in the 2v2. You knew after the Ashe was under tower, almost taking a lot of damage from this Jinx. It's a really gankable lane, good pathing, good timing from Flexer to find a double kill on this Jinx early on.
I agree. On the flip side, though, Wukong is taking the top side jungle away from Flex. So it will get him a little bit of an advantage there. But this Jinx sitting 2-0 here also brings him to a 1,000 gold lead 3 minutes in. And you will take that. That should be the Noon Quiver or close to it. Actually, has a longsword. That should be Noon Quiver if she backs here after this wave. And that is already a huge start and a massive difference from the first 2 games. So good for her. Yeah. Will maintain a small CS lead, not much. And both scuttles will be taken on the opposite sides of the map.
I want to see if he opts for tier 2 boots instead of the Noon Quiver, just considering it is Ashe Veigar. It would not be a bad purchase, although Noon Quiver with the longsword start is only 950, which she does, and goes tier 1 boots instead, so still really good. So he might have a gank here in the mid lane. Might be a 2v2.
Engage here. The Floss Duet does connect. Jungle comes over. Amumu is over the wall for a potential re-engage, and he does land the bandage toss, forces the flash, and he's right on top of River, and he picks up the kill there, and Alpha Sean has more than enough HP to continue the fight. He does get in range of the Q, but Alpha Sean able to pick up the kill there, and now the Coast lead is at 4-0 for the side of Primal Instinct Red.
This is what we wanted. Yeah. This is exactly what we wanted, and they're doing it. They're getting kills where they need to go. Jinx on 2. Vlad now has 1. No flash on the Aurelia too, meaning that Amumu can go back to this mid lane. And the best part, he didn't die either. So now we're up 2,000 gold lead on the side of Primal Instinct, and this is what we were hoping they would do. Be able to get advantages across the map, or just really onto their carries especially. And that's exactly what they're doing. And I will say, Flex is playing this Amumu very well. Played it well, I think, in Game 1 as well. But, man, this is a much better start than the whole series by far at this point.
Yeah, huge early game from him, getting 2 double kills, a couple pairs of kills in the bot lane and the mid lane early on, as we might have a 2v1 here in the top lane.
Yeah, Outrage looking for another fight, and he's continuing it. But yeah, Fortune instantly.
Should be fine. Spots him on the ward there in the tri-brush. Yeah, I should be okay.
Okay.
Instantly just going away.
The one thing that is a little bit of a worry, though, that I will say is Primal cannot get ahead of themselves too much. This is a really solid goalie that they have. They need to make sure to keep level heads. Yeah, you can get a little hype that that you're ahead at the moment, but this is League of Legends is a very long game.
Yep.
We could be at this for the next 30 to 45 minutes, or even as long as the 2018 LCK game that went to 92 minutes. That is how long these games can go. So they just have to make sure to keep a level head. Don't play tilted. Keep that good communication up, and they'll be well on their way to obviously taking this game. But 2K Goldie is a good start here, and we might have a gank here in the mid lane in a second. He's posturing over.
Kavita spotting out a Mumu there on the recall over in Tribush. Fallen Warrior just clearing out wards by himself. He's more than capable of doing it with a Mumu backing him up. But Mumu has decided to go over to the Dragon there. Got some pings going down on it, and it is going to be Infernal Dragon, so both me and Darter are wrong, sadly. But hey, at least Infernal Dragon finally showed up at some point this year.
Yeah, it's a really good early Drake as well. Just like as an individual Drake, the stats it gives is really strong, especially when you're leading. Like this Jinx having a bonus 6% AD is huge. Mountain Drake, okay. Another really good individual Drake. Yeah, I mean, with this bot lane lead, it's really easy for them to get Drakes going into this mid game. As you want to just really, what they can do is they can just coast this lead onto the into the mid game, get these objectives, and just slowly build on it. You don't have to do anything crazy. So you might have a 2v2 in mid lane.
Yeah. Now he's trying to look for an engage here. He does decide to pull the trigger onto Alpha Sean, but doesn't fully. But a Mumu on the return. We do see the Vladimir does get the ultimate off onto the Wukong, and that's going to be more than enough damage after Flex follows up on that. And just the kills keep flowing towards the side of Primal Instinct Red with a nearly 3k gold lead at 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, they know Rivet hasn't been able to get off a good back yet, and he doesnn have the items to actually have the damage to win that 2v2.
Relax,
let's get the
Might be
taunt.
a solo kill. Not quite.
No. I mean, it was a pretty good disengage from Fortune there. I mean, Outrage had to recall, didn't have any mana, and came back, and now Fortune gets a decent base.
I gotta say, I mildly disagree with the choice of the Silas going Rod of Ages here. But I mean, I think the thing is like they need someone who is who has some health, able to kind of just go in. And I know it's standard for the Silas to build it, but I much prefer the Everfrost personally, especially if he's trying to get onto that back line. I think Everfrost here would be a much better choice. You can lock down that Jinx, because if she has no flash or no cleanse, hey, that reminds me, Domination has cleanse this game. Imagine that.
He does. Good.
Yo.
He needs it. Especially when you're playing into Ashe Vygar, you need to take cleanse. If he didn't take it this game, I would be furious.
Furious reporting him. And if they lost the game, we're just blaming it on him, even if it wasn't the case. But we definitely would have been. It would have been something else. But speaking of those items, as you mentioned,
he learned.
Yeah. Rod of Ages on the, at least the Rod Ages seems to be being built on Outrage, but it also seems to be being built on Dilly down here in the bot lane on this Veigar. Which is, definitely, I'm not too up to speed with how Veigar builds. At least half the time I would see people build either Everfrost or Ludens, but...
Yeah, those are definitely the highest damage builds, Ludens being the best for Pen. I think Ludens would be really good in this game in particular, just because of how much tank they have and how many resistances they'll have on the side of Primal Instinct. You have 3 resistance builders, and like Vladimir will have a lot of HP, but he won't be building tank stats necessarily. So, but still, Ludens would have a lot of value. So you might have a 2v1 in mid lane.
Ooh, Fallen Warrior in the bot lane, trying to clear out some vision, but is able to get away with about half of his HP gone. And Flex try to go in for yet another gank, but ends up having to just walk up towards the top side of the map. Outrage taking another trade onto Fortune here. Does get taunted up and loses about the same HP as he got back onto him. And Riverd seems to be losing the trade over here in the mid lanes, trying to throw out the ultimate here. But Alpha Sean able to drop the ultimate down, dodges the ultimate coming out from Irelia, and that's going to be a solo kill from Alpha Sean. And he is cementing the fact that he has a lead in this lane. And Pit Flex just sitting there in the bush. He does see Wukong, gets the first bandage toss onto him and forces the fight. And now he's just standing on top of him, making the second bandage toss. He doesn't have Curse of the Sad Mummy, but the Shen ultimate comes out. The taunt does land onto Silas here, but Silas does have the Curse of the Sad Mummy. The Jinx ultimate does connect, making a bandage toss, and he's got nowhere to go. Forchi able to pick up the kill for himself, and a play down in the bot lane as well. There's just no chill across the map, but sadly for the side of Dorado Gaming Lambda, they aren't just picking any of the kills in this, man.
Finally, we're seeing life out of Primal. I will say that they have played pretty well in the first 2 games, but this is more of what I was expecting for them.
That's a mistake for sure. He definitely meant to ping something and pressed his F key. But that's I don't think they saw him burn flash.
I don't think so either.
They can't. I don't think they'll be looking to abuse that necessarily. But it'll probably just from chance end up being abused with the amount of CC that they have in Primal Instinct's comp. We'll see. But yeah, like they're playing really well towards his carries. We have a dive from Outrage.
Oh yeah, Outrage looking for something here. He does use his Curse of the Sad Mummy, but fortunately he's got a bunch of HP. It's gonna be pretty tough for him to do so. But he definitely interested.
Under tower.
Tries to go for the W. Got a little bit of HP back, but it's gonna be an interesting 1v1 here. But we do have hit Flex here. Cancel? Yeah, Flex is over the wall. He might Blast Cone. Does get canceled.
Shen does have TP, so I think that's why they're calling for this. The Mountain Drake did spawn.
Yeah, and here comes Flex over the wall. He doesn't suspect that the taunt lands. Free bandage toss.
He's
and
dead.
the Smite. Curse of the Sad Mummy stops them momentarily, but it's just not going to be enough.
Okay, and Dragon will go over in the process. So, I mean, that's a nice little consolation prize, you know, Dragon going over. Jinx does have ult, so do we see a potential cheeky Jinx rocket steal? You don't see those too much anymore, but it is very possible that it could happen. Okay, never mind. There's no words on it. So
I can really say they're pulling it out, and I'm wondering why. They know Mumu's topside, and I mean, it's good cross map for them.
No, when the Jinx does steal it, there's no way.
Oh, no.
I'm just speechless, man.
I guess it's not a cross map, and you're right about the soul. It's Cloud Soul. Second Drake going over to Primal Instinct, as well as the first Herald of the game.
Wow. All right. Well.
Oh no.
Like, if I had a checklist of like, okay, everything that could possibly be going wrong for Dorado, I'd be checking off everything right now.
Yeah.
They're just not getting a single thing on this map, and Fallen Warrior looking for a stun onto the Ashe, but he does seem to be caught out. But speaking of getting caught out up in the mid lane, bandage toss landing on a Rivered here, and the Mumu is just following her down. He's got nowhere to go. Alpha Sean just piling on the kills, nearly fully stacked up on the Dark Seal, all the while the top lane just perma trading, and now Fortune's got Heartsteel. He's going to be able to start trading back and forth like nobody's business if he ever so wants to.
It is 9-0 right now. That is how different that this Primal team is looking compared to the first 2 games. At this point, they were down about this much gold in the last 2 games. Terror is coming out, so I don't expect too much else to happen alongside of that. We'll get some rocket.
Are they gonna look for the dive?
I don't think
so.
You do.
Not with the Terror ultimate gone, but I see a Mumu on the bot side, so they might be able to. As Outrage is playing really aggressively.
Yeah, like if a taunt lands onto him under that tower, that could be disastrous, but he decides against it after the wave comes in here. Both Silas and Veigar are on Rod of Ages, 3 stacks right now. Veigar TPing as he's finished up his Boots of Lucidity.
Indeed, indeed. You know, the little bit of extra cooldown for the Q, and he's looking. Okay, I say Mumu was looking. We got some trading here in the top lane. I don't think there'll be any kills coming out. I mean, do you have a Heartsteel on your Shen? And I'm looking at the gold across the board right now. It's just, it is exactly where you need it to be. And this Vladimir is 3-0. He's up over 1,000 gold on the Aurelia. Jinx, 1,200 gold up. I mean, everything that we said needed to happen is happening, and even a bonus action is Shen is ahead too. So like, this is spelling a little bit. Oh, I guess he's not really ahead. They have almost the same gold. I guess that CS lead is helping them a lot. But
bandage toss landing onto Dilly here, and Flash Curse of the Sad Mummy that guarantees the kill over for domination. And make it 2. And this Jinx is 4-0-1, 11-0. For the side of Primal Instinct Red as they drop the Rift Herald in the bot lane, and this tower should soon fall.
Dude,
it just keeps increasing.
There was before because I was gonna let Darterwolf say something.
Yeah.
But Silas was going for the Chenault to be able to ult down, but he missed the timing on it, and I think this is gonna be a.
Oh yeah, it might very well might be here. I mean, the taunt does land if he gets a Q pass through. He just needs to keep continuing these autos to go through, but he doesn't want to keep chasing. He just doesn't have the movement speed to catch up to him. So.
Wow.
Yeah, they said screw coasting this late into the mid game. They're playing really proactively, really well around these objectives, around every single timer they can. They're finding advantages, and Flex has played every single gank to perfection. Jinx having a huge lead, not only 4-0, but also 30 CS up as well. The Infinity Edge should be coming in fairly soon, as she's about half an item ahead of the Veigar. And I was gonna say that with the Lucidity boost on Veigar, I'm not a huge fan of it in this game. Right. Because of how many tanks that Primal Instinct have, and you're sacrificing pen not only in your Mythic but also in your boots, and which means a lot of your damage is going to be missing onto this Vladimir specifically, as we'll have another 1v1 potentially top lane. No, not quite. But yeah, the flat pen means a lot for this Jinx and the Vladimir trying to kill them, just making them squishier than they already are, and you have Veigar burning Flash. And yeah, Kobita didn't have Flash for the last one, I don't think. So that Flash that he accidentally burned earlier does come back to bite him.
Yeah. I mean, really good positioning right now here in this game. Unless I feel like that Dorado is playing the long con and is like, yeah, let's make the series exciting. Give him a 4th game so that no one has to go home. I mean, it's not like last week I think it was last week's game we were watching, and they were like, we need this game done quick, and it was done quick.
Yeah, they were trying to play Clash, so they got a quick 3-0 out, but this does not look the case this time so far. We have seen gold leads flip before. As our series last week, there was one of the teams was ahead by almost 6K, and then they lost the game later on.
No, the base check from Kobita, he forces the flash
huge
out of
damage.
Alpha Sean did use his ultimate, but unable to pick up the kill onto him, though, but still quite a big push off there. Unable to get any sort of drag control or vision control, per se. And now River walking into a spot he does not want to be in, eats the zap. Alpha Sean probably is just going to start running him down, or at least chase him off.
I don't think they go for this. I mean, Ash got chunked down. That's exactly what I said would happen, is if Vladimir gets onto their backline, he will blow them up. I think if he had his second item, Ash was 100% dead. Not just little, very dead.
I hope he buys Magi's.
Yeah,
I hope he buys Magi's. I want to see
Same here. Just a bunch of trading up in the top lane. I also want to mention, shout out, DBZ Freak actually predicted the Soul.
He did.
Oh, I forgot. You're not looking at my camera. I just did a little peace sign at it, but yeah. Ash Arrow?
Ash Arrow, it does connect, and now the Wukong is around. Yeah, that Ash Arrow was something fierce, but they're just forcing the fight under the tower. But Forgy's got way too much HP. He's got way too much HP. They got the TP out of Vladimir. He's not gonna flash for the damage. Bandit toss onto Dilly. I don't think he's going to be able to commit here, but he does get the Curse of the Sad Mummy down. The Zap does connect, make it second Bandit toss, and never mind. Domination having more than enough damage with that Super Mega Death Rocket, and it is 12-0 as they're just looking across the map for anything that they can grab. I mean, the Rift Herald spawning up soon, and they pick up the mid tower as well. They're just rolling on all cylinders.
Warm-up games? The first 2 games were just warm-up?
I guess. I mean, they found the secret sauce. Ban the Thresh first pick Jinx. Jinx is one of the best ADs on the patch right now, and I mean, they're playing around it very well.
Goodness, that's gonna do a lot more damage when he finishes the next item. And I'm looking at Ash's health. If he had committed to her, nah, she was just done.
No, she's dead. Yeah, 100%.
Oh my goodness. And the fact that they have no kills at the moment is even more nuts to me. No kills have been given to Dorado whatsoever.
They're going for the perfect game.
Well, I doubt it's going to be a perfect game, let's be real.
No towers, no Drakes, no Heralds so far for Dorado, so we'll see. But
the game is long.
The game is long. They should get the second Crasher, be able to escort it, even though Moby does have his smite up. I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to take this tower. They could dive, actually, with the Taric ultimate.
Taric ultimate is used. We do have the Ash Arrow come through. The stun does connect on the Outrage. They are able to find the pick. Okay. I was thinking, listen, I was thinking about perfect game, but I wasn't saying it.
I had to say it to jinx it so we get it a bit closer, okay?
Oh, That's what the plan was. Caster cursing it. No, go.
I'm caster cursing the perfect game, so it's a bit closer, okay?
Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to say is, oh my god, Domination's playing out of his mind. The fact that he hasn't died yet is kind of insane, and now we wait.
Now we wait.
I mean, if he plays his positioning perfectly, there's no reason for him to
Alpha Sean is gonna take the 1v5, drops the ultimate here as the tower falls, but he's gonna be getting quite a bit of HP back. Flex not gonna go for the Curse of the Sad Mummy, it's just not up yet, but lands a second boundage toss onto Wukong, and the Shen ultimate comes through. Flash forward from Alpha Sean, and make it a second flash forward. Curse of the Sad Mummy onto the support, and that is a double kill going over to Alpha Sean. The Baron is
here. Wait, they might do it.
Yeah. Fallen Warrior's death was tactical. Give them a false sense of security, make them overextend, and just turn the play on its head and get Baron for it.
Wow.
That was 6k gold lead now as well. It's 20 minutes in.
Yeah, this Baron will expand it to about 8,000 at this point. The tower will fall over, so still not that perfect game, KEKW, but that's okay, as now it is a 7,000, 7,000-ish gold lead, and the Baron will go down at 21 minutes, guys. This is a completely different Primal than what we've seen. I mean, just throw everything out the window that we said the first couple of games.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was like a one game series right now, this would be potentially tying the whole thing. But I mean, it just also goes to show that blue side is broken this patch, isn't it?
Yeah, blue side's broken. It's really I think I might have said this earlier. I'm not sure, but blue side is really easier to draft on, just because a lot of the OP champions have been nerfed in the last few patches, so there's a lot less available for red side to take. So with the few OPs that are left open, blue side has a much easier time drafting around those, since the first pick probably was a lot stronger than it was a few patches ago. And I mean, in this series, Jinx first pick has been the story of every win so far, and we'll see if this win for Primalistic comes through with the Jinx, is they're in a position to capitalize on it.
River
just Aurelia flash.
That's when you know we're in a really rough spot, when an Aurelia's flashing away from a Taric. Flashing away, that flash might not be enough for this Veigar to escape, as the Mumu is right on top of them. We do have the Jinx coming in, but Wukong flanking. Jinx is able to pick up the kill, gets the reset, and is trying to kite back, and that Wukong just does not have enough damage and isn't able to stay alive for long enough, and River TPing, but to no avail, as the rest of his team is fallen, and this dragon is pretty much theirs, and that's going to be a Cloud Soul going over to the side of Primal Instinct.
Yeah. Good flank by Mumu, but you can't kill a Jinx if she's immune. It's great Taric ultimate on reaction there, almost killing the Jinx, which would have been a huge shutdown, 1,000 gold over, but this will be their Cloud Soul. And they haven't gotten a whole lot of objectives off of this Baron other than this Drake and a few kills, so we'll see how they pressure this. If they 4-stack mid 1 on bot is what I'm assuming they'd play for. It's the easiest way to do it.
I think either Shen or Vladimir will probably go splitting, or they're going to go 1-3-1. Maybe we're completely wrong here.
Yeah, 1-3-1 is a lot less common nowadays. It's a lot harder with most compositions, but with this comp and the strength of your two solo laners, it's very doable to go 1-3-1, as both of them should win the 1v1s. As Vladimir does have his death cap completed, Shen has his Thornmail completed, and this Jinx is halfway to what is looking like a Phantom Dancer.
Phantom Dancer? Yeah, I think that's Phantom Dancer coming in. Oh no, Alpha Sean gets on the ass. She just 100% dies. Please spare her. She's just a girl.
Just trying to hold the wave, trying to farm up here. The Baron minions are pushing in. Kobita running for his life right now, as he can't get anywhere near the tower, and Flex just looking for any sort of engage, because he knows that his team has more than enough damage to follow up.
They don't know who comes in the angle.
So they are opting for the 4-1. They can pressure this mid tower. It's hard with no wave. This Jinx is by herself. Could be an angle here.
Ooh.
Oh, that was close.
Wukong tries to go in, but he does use a clone to dodge the first man. But gets cursed to the Sad Mummied. Forces the Cyclone out of him, but it's just to no avail.
Yeah,
and we do see River does pull up in the mid lane after leaving the bot lane. Fallen Warriors is taking the 1v1 over to Outrage, unable to land the stun, but does stall a bit more time for the rest of his team to push the wave off. Dilly looking for a bit of poke. He has finished his second item now. He has his Seraphs completed, as well as a stacked Rod of Ages, so...
Well, I get that, but like it's like we said earlier, that magic pen that he's missing from the Luden's build, and Nymera, who those of you who don't know is an LEC caster, he pointed this out, that like Ahri and Veigar players need to stop doing this and start going Luden's Void Staff second.
Need to build pen. You have to get pen.
Yes, you're missing so much damage when you're into comps like this.
Yeah.
So, sure, Veigar gets damage from his passive. We all know that. But the fact of like just not getting that magic pen to be able to blow up this Shen, Taric, or Mumu is I would argue is kind of costing them right now.
Yeah, a big thing with Vigar as well is from the AP stacking of his passive, you can do things like go Ludens and Deathcap second because you have a lot of that AP sitting around for the Deathcap bonus. And he's just, yeah, a lot of his damage is missing, even onto this Jinx because he has no pen whatsoever. So she's a lot tankier than she normally would be, even with just his sword.
Oh, the bandage toss landing on the move to Veigar here. We do see the Ashe ultimate come out, but it doesn't stun him for nearly long enough to any follow-up to come through. Already looking for any sort of minions to stack her passive up, but there's just none left.
Dude, my point was proven just right there with the Vigar W on Shen. It literally just tickled him.
Does nothing, yeah.
Little bit of a tickle, just like turning cough type of tickle, like that did nothing to him.
Yeah, and it's that much damage, and the only magic resist that Shen has in his build are the Merc Treads. He doesn't even have a magic resist full item. He has just armor with the
Flex, potential engages. He's sending inside of the cage.
Yeah.
Splash on top, and that's a Curse of the Sad Mummy hitting onto at least 3. And just Vladimir going on top of Dilly, no one to stop him, and then the Cyclone comes out. The Stolen Taric ultimate might be enough to get some sort of damage, but the Chen ultimate just keeps Jinx alive. And the blast on top
huge
of the carry. That's a double kill coming out from the Rockets, and River's got nowhere to go. He has to just go back towards his base and accept the fact that he and his team have lost this game. And shout out to Darter for pretty much cursing what could have been. Nah, yeah, no, okay, yeah, you've been right, but you cursed the crap out of this perfect game.
I did curse the perfect game. Listen, the thing is when the game can't be perfect, it's a lot more stress-free. Okay, so you got to get the death out early, lose the towers, and just play the game out normally. A huge game coming back from Primal Instinct, sending us to a game 4.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Let's go. Right. No more 3-0s.
The 3-0 curse is broken, and I am so happy. This is what Primal has needed to do. They needed to take away, even if you're on red side, just ban the Jinx away, and then you have to force Dilly onto something else. Maybe you can still arguably leave the Thresh open or ban it either way, or take it for yourself if your support knows how to play it. But this is what they needed to do, and they showed us that they are a team to be trifled with, and they're showing us why they're the higher seed. Now, granted, they're still down 2-1, so anything is possible. But game 4, they got to be feeling
we'll see
good.
If they can keep it up.
They got to be feeling good coming into game 4. We will assume Dorado is probably going to pick blue side because they do get side selection after that loss. So that kind of is like, okay, what do we have to do? We know they're going to first pick the Jinx, so it's like we have to ban it. I mean, you just ban it. I mean, Olaf, you probably keep off the table. You have to keep Viego off the table as well. So it's like, do you sacrifice that Thresh pick, or do you just ban the Jinx away and force them to maybe potentially pick something else with it, or take it yourself?
Yeah, I'd expect Dorado Gaming to go on that blue side and kind of force Primal Instinct to ban both of those champions away and potentially open something else up in the draft. We'll see if we get like first pick Xayah maybe, first pick Jarvan if it's not banned. There's a lot of other things that could happen because every single game we've seen first pick Jinx in the draft go from there. So we'll see if they adapt to that, and we'll see who is on blue side for this game 4.
Yeah, Swift.
For sure.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just hyped to see if Jinx goes through again. I am a person that believes in superstitions and things just working out the way that they do, so I'm really hoping for a Jinx just P1 every single game and hoping that Jinx wins. So
all right, well, you heard it here first. So finally, Primal Instinct Red bounce back. They strike in game 3 and take us to a 4-game series. Can they take us to the Silver Scrapes? That game 5, we'll have to find out before draft for game 4. I messed up my words, but you get what I'm saying. We'll see you guys on the other end of the break. Game 4. We made it. We are out of the 3-0 curse that we have been stuck with. It was only for one series, but still. Either way, this time Dorado Gaming is on blue side, which means they will have first pick. Do we see the Jinx ban? Do we
Hopefully.
see it?
Hopefully. On red side. If blue side shouldn't ban it, obviously. But red, Primal Instinct should ban Jinx Thresh. Because we've seen both of those picks do worlds for Dorado Gaming. And we know how strong the Jinx is. It's won every single game in the series. It's just a matter of what bans you want to take out for that. But I do think they should ban both of those champions. I don't think you want to give them Jinx first pick after you yourself saw how strong it was, played towards it. You've seen Dorado Gaming perform on it twice now. So, but we'll see if they do follow through with that adaptation.
I agree. Swift, same reasoning from you.
Yeah, I mean, blue side's won every single game. It seems like Dorado are in their comfort zone when they have blue side. So it's no surprise as to why they picked it this time around. And like we mentioned before, Dorado, Primal Instinct Red's already banning like champions that aren't Jinx Thresh typically. So it just kind of puts them in a situation where it's like, all right, pick which one you're gonna give up, unless you want to give up something that you've been consistently banning the entire series.
Yeah.
Very much agree. Now, if PI can keep up this pressure, they can potentially take us to a game 5. That'd be awesome. Means we finally get silver scrapes. I don't think I've casted a series that has gotten silver scrapes in my time here at Risen, so this would be fun and nice. Now, I'm expecting pretty much the same thing you guys are. Nothing different. We see how well they can play and like with their leads and how far or how aggressively that they can play. Just the way that the bot lane went with those 2 kills going to the Jinx. Then Domination just kept that pressure up, kept that going with the help of his jungle and support, showing that like, yes, there is a reason why we're the 2nd seed, and they showed us that. But I think we're going to get ready to go into draft here shortly. Take it away, Swift and Darter. I'll see you guys on the other side.
All right.
Yep.
We'll see if they go for the Jinx and Thresh bans. So they've banned Olaf Viego. They've banned Olaf all 3 games. Their first game bans are a bit interesting. They banned the Thresh after game 2, and they banned Viego, Olaf all 2 games of the 3, Olaf all 3. So we'll see what they decide. If they think the Olaf is that scary that they want to continue to ban it out, they want to continue to have Viego off the table as well. But yeah, I would expect both Jinx and Thresh to be off the table here. Because even though you're expecting the Thresh to be played alongside the Jinx, there are other AD carries available for Italy to play with it, and they do ban the Viego first. I'm not expecting Dorado to change their bans really at all. We've seen them be the same throughout. They do actually opt for the Amumu ban instead of Jarvan this time around, which they have held that ban for 4 or 5 before, but not in the first 3. We'll see if they ban Shaco again, and there's the Jinx ban. Good, okay. Yep. And I'm assuming the last ban will be Thresh on their side unless they think it's not that valuable without it. And they banned Vladimir. And yeah, they do think the Thresh isn't that valuable. We'll see if Dorado first pick it. I don't think so. Yeah, first pick support is not that strong. Jarvan first pick makes sense. Now, we'll see what they go here. I would expect AD jungle. I don't think blinding support is that strong for them.
Yeah, I mean, you already have J4, and yeah, J4 is known to be like going in for engage and locking people up. But if J4 is the only person that your team has to go in, like you can easily shift your comp into just being able to poke or not even committing into taking full team fights, especially when you're blinding Taric like this. Like it becomes pretty difficult because showing your hand with Taric is can get punished.
We'll see if they opt for something like a Wukong, Maokai as well, something like that, a more teamfight-oriented jungler to pair with this Taric. I'm also wondering if they're going to opt for Tristana here, potentially on R3. Really strong with the Taric. It depends on what the bot lane comes through. They're dropping AD. Makes sense. You don't want to give away your whole bot lane and let them pick into it. I do think support kind of pick is a little more important in a lot of situations. Are they going to go Ziggs Leona here, which is
I think it's definitely possible. I mean, the first thing that came to mind once I saw Taric Maokai is that you can just pick poke here, and then it just becomes a more difficult of a game for Primal Instinct Red to play into. And now Ziggs APC is definitely viable. There's very few AD carries that can deal with it per se, and then even then, you're not gonna get like shoved out of lane with a Taric.
Yeah, because really the lanes you'd pick into Ziggs, I'm assuming it's Leona support because that's the classic Ziggs lane, although we might see something else like a Lux potentially or Ashe. or Annie as well. Yeah, double AP is interesting, but good. A lot of damage early, a lot of poke, a lot of harass. The thing that's the problem with blinding support early is, because normally what you pick into a lane like this is a Varus lane, an Ezreal lane, or something with a Karma support that you can kind of counter the push. Sivir as well. Anything that gets a lot of prio on wave, which you're kind of pinched now. You kind of have to pick Tristan in order to fill that niche. Not a huge fan of the Aphelios. It works well with Taric, and fits really well with the team fight comp that you're kind of going for. But yeah, into this lane it'll be kind of rough to play early on. I'm expecting Jarvan to really sit in this bot lane for a while. Jack's ban makes a lot of sense. Don't want to give Anivia ban 100% as well. That's the mid laner's most comfortable champion. We've seen it ban throughout. We'll see what else happens here.
It's
ban
definitely
Silas if you're Primal Instinct here. I think I would.
It wouldn't be too
I think
bad.
Silas is really strong. If they're not going to pick it up for it, yeah.
Yeah, get that out of the way. I mean, I'm trying to still
Shenban,
think
okay.
about 80 carries that could go well. I mean, Ezreal would have probably been a decent into Ziggs Annie. At least keep range, and then J4 is pretty much negate, like no one to really go in on. But like you mentioned, Aphelios does work well with a comp that they're already setting up with Maokai and Taric. It's just you're still kind of playing into what at the moment seems like a pretty detrimental matchup comp wise.
Yeah. It's rough picking Aphelios into any Jarvan, because any one of that's a Vigar mid. Interesting. Another immobile carry. Now I'm not a huge fan of that. Picking 2 immobile carries into Jarvan Annie is really rough. Especially since like with the layered damage on top of this Cataclysm with the Ziggs ultimate, with the Annie ultimate, Ziggs Q, Ziggs bombs. Like anyone who gets trapped in that Cataclysm without flash is gonna die. If that's Ezreal to carry and throwing this Ziggs mid to play against his Vigar makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think that's fine.
That's the way to play.
And then, I mean, you just need beef in top lane. I think Sion's huge for them, honestly. And if you're not going to go with Sion, you can pick something like Malphite also works. Anything that can just layer CC on top. Ornn is good.
Mundo.
There's a lot that you can pick here. You can pretty much pick anything and you'll be happy with it. Jace. Just fully indexing on poke. With Ziggs, Ezreal, Jace, it'll be really hard for any one of these members of Primal Instinct to walk up. Set also, just get a meatball to stand in front of your carries. Like top lane is so flexible here for them. Since Jax is banned, that kind of removes the best set counter pick available.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else you'd pick. Mordekaiser. So a triple AP topside. I really don't want them to pick Mordekaiser. I don't think it's worth it.
It definitely
it makes the set so easy to itemize.
Yeah, it's like what if you lock in Mordekaiser, which it seems like they might.
Sion, that's way better. Oh, yeah, way better.
Definitely better. Probably a little rough in the lane, but I mean, Sion definitely has ways to play around the set.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely works better. You have a much bigger, like dedicated tank, whereas like Mordekaiser is just sort of a pseudo tank. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting comp. Like we can already like it was pretty much as clear as day by like 2-3. What both teams are opting to go in for here, whereas Primal Instinct were heavy committing to just playing a kite back and disengage comp, and then just having these immobile carries to try to deal as much damage as possible. And Dorado Gaming Lambda, which in my opinion probably indexes into one of the better comps that you can play into something like that, which is just keeping range and just poking, and then having like some kind of engage once they get low enough, which like set Jarvan is more than enough, especially when you have a Sion to ult in or a Maokai to ult in. Like you are gonna be dealing damage.
100%, yeah. I'm curious to see what DBZ thinks about these 2 drafts and which one he likes more.
For sure.
So I'll throw it over to Analyst Desk.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just kind of looking over both. I kind of wish that it was not an Aphelios, to be completely honest. That Caitlyn's open. I would have preferred Caitlyn here. I see what they're going for. I mean, as we mentioned, Dorado is going for full poke. This with the Ziggs and the Ezreal. I mean, set. I was actually going over my notes here, and Dorado's top laner plays a ton of set, so this is
Outrage
really,
plays a lot of set. Yeah.
so this is a comfort pick for him, which I that could smell pretty much doom. I mean, the mid laner on Ziggs here. I mean, I don't think I saw very many games. I mean, Ezreal, their bot laner plays a lot of Ezreal, so we got comfort here for the two carries. I mean, I only call Set a quote unquote carry because that dude can do so much damage for no reason. And we have their support on, not an engaged support, which is going to be very interesting. And this is an enchanter. Typically, I would only see them play Lulu. So this is very interesting with them picking up the Annie. Could be good here. And then on the other side, obviously, Taric for Primal, and no one plays a ton of Taric. Normal meta picks for their bot laner. It's like nothing really stands out too much. Sion, I think, will be a focal point for this game, and I find it very interesting as we're coming into this game that like these two teams have decided that like we're kind of playing for either the long con of scaling or we're playing for poke, so that way we can get the better objectives. This game honestly could go either way in anyone's favor. So I'm not really definitive as like who is going to absolutely like win this game. It could be either one of these teams. I think it just comes down to team fighting, because if Primal Instinct can avoid getting poked out before these major objectives, then they'll be fine. But if they get poked out, then pretty much Dorado will just run over them this game.
100%, yeah. And the thing is with Primal Instinct's comp, Dorado Gaming has two of the best champions to counter their engage in Set and Jarvan against the Sion, Maokai. As soon as the Sion ults in, Set can just walk in front of him and dunk this Sion straight on top of your carries. And that's a lot of damage considering Set ultimate scales with HP on the person you're ulting. And Jarvan to follow up on top of that, and then Ziggs Ezreal just damage laid on top of that. It'll be hard to engage onto them, so you really need to play around cooldowns well. But Primal Instinct really have strong 5v5 if these carries can get ahead and get some leads to bridge them into the mid late game.
So we're gonna backtrack and go a little early this time.
Yeah.
So that way, by the time runes are done, because we should be getting runes on our screen here in a moment, I believe. So we'll see what spicy runes that they're going for. I'm fully expecting the glacial on the Taric. On Annie, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking either comment or electrocute. Well, I mean, even first strike, to be completely honest. But I think it should be pretty standard runes across the board everywhere else, and I hope that Alpha was listening to us when we were talking about the Vigar build in the last game, and then he goes for this. He's going to need it against the Jarvan set. Needs that pen. And if you weren't listening to us, Alpha, that's your own fault. You should have listened to us. Actually, it was Nymera who said it first, but I'm piggybacking that with him through every Vigar game I see.
If it was me on Ezreal, I would go first strike this game. Just because of the amount of poke that you have, and you're going to be playing from range a lot, so that damage you're going to be getting out with first strike, a lot of money. It makes a lot of sense. Both AD carries opting for cleanse makes a lot of sense in this game. There's a lot of stuns that you need to get rid of. Sion going grass pump makes a lot of sense. I would expect glacial augment from
tempo Jarvan.
That's spicy.
I mean, I guess it's just he's playing around the fact where it's like if he ever meets Maokai in the jungle, he's gonna beat him in the 1v1.
Yeah, it makes the early game 1v1 really strong, and the conquer damage is a lot. Both combats from these two champs. Interesting. I would have expected first strike from Vigar, but in solo lanes makes sense.
Near identical rune pages as well.
And he goes PT on Ezreal. It's better for the lane. PT for sure. And both of them opting for cut down.
Considering the lane that you have, I mean, they definitely have the advantage. Just in the straight 2v2, where it's like they don't have to commit unless they absolutely have to with this Annie Ezreal. So
right. Okay, so that goes pretty much just goes us the runes. What are we expecting for who will take this game and Dragon Soul? We'll start with you, Swift.
Dude, I'm just gonna be a comedian and just go Infernal Soul again. Let's just say Infernal Soul again. Surely this time, fourth time's a charm possibly, but I'm probably gonna go Dorado on this one. We haven't had games go super late, and depending on how the Vigar builds, even more time given to him probably is not gonna matter too much. And I'm just really liking how their comp matches up stylistically against Primal Instinct Red, so I'm expecting them to come out with the game this time.
Okay, Darter.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I really like Dorado's comp, and like Swift said, we haven't really seen a game go past 30-35 minutes, which is where Primal Instinct's comp really thrives, is at that 30-minute mark. And I really hope it's Infernal Soul with this poke comp, because that's a lot of damage coming out from the Ziggs and Ezreal if it is. So I'm going to go again Infernal Soul alongside Swift for this game.
Okay. I am on the other side of the soul, which gets that in a second. We are going to go with, I think I'm going to go Mountain Soul again like I did in game 1. That would be pretty good for the side of Primal, assuming the game goes late enough. But if Dorado end up getting Dragon Control effectively, then obviously it heavily goes in their favor. But I'm going with Dorado also this game. I pretty much their poke comp is going to be much better as the game goes later and later on. And just like you said as well, Swift, I'm entirely depending it on the Vigar build. I just hope that he's, once again, not allergic to damage and does what I've been hoping he wants to do. But that'll do it from us here on the desk. We finally have more than a 3-game series, and also congratulations to Rockefellers for winning their game. So whoever wins this series goes and faces them next week.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I know, right?
Fourth seed in the finals. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, that'll do it from us. We'll see you guys for game 4 on the Rift of Dorado versus Primal.
All right, everybody, welcome as we're getting into Game 4 of this best of 5 series between.
Are they 5-man? Are they? Wait.
Yeah.
What? They're trying to 5-man cheese Shy on top, but they're 5-man invading bot.
Okay. Yeah. So we're in Game 4 of this best of 5 series in the semifinals, no less, between Primal Instinct Red and Dorado Gaming Lambda. As you can see, double 5-man invades from both of these teams on opposite sides of the map, and
Are
neither
they gonna
of them
start both buffs?
neither of them have
Curious.
yet to drop a ward. Okay, now we've seen a ward over at Raptors. And we see a ward over at Raptors, probably a slightly better one.
That's a much better ward, yeah. Much better ward. That's the ward that I wish Primal Instinct placed, because that gives you a lot more vision on like which way that he paths from Raptors. It's harder to place that ward on the blue side map of the jungle, but if you place it kind of next to the wall, if you mirror that ward exactly where it is, basically, you kind of need to push it more towards river so you can see that entrance. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do see Forcey does drop a ward over at their red buff, so they are aware that the red buff isn't being taken, and they don't have anyone spotted over at Dorado's red buff, so I think they have a pretty decent amount of intel on where Maui is starting right now.
Yeah, and Dillian could be the fake leashed actually, so they don't have full info on where Mui started, as he is pathing down like I would expect him to. So we'll see if they end up getting punished for this jungle track, although they'll see him come into the bot side later on. But looks like they're poising as if he's aiming for a level 3 gank bot lane, which I would be too if I was a Aphelios Tarek, to be honest. You're really susceptible to dying.
Yeah, you need your carry obviously to be ahead, and especially if you're Meowie right now, you want Ezreal to be able to be that annoying poke chafing that he can be later in the game, because Ezreal takes time to scale. Nowadays, that ward just died, so they will not see him cross.
Oh wow,
it's actually kind of crazy. So
yeah.
he will be on this bot side completely undetected, and the ward on the other side also died as well. Annie is kind of like making it look like she wants to use her abilities to go for the stun, but I do not predict that that Kobita will give away his intentions. I mean, from how we've been seeing this dude play the game, I mean, he's absolutely nuts with holding his skills, just really good with like knowing his cooldowns and whatnot. And here we are on the top side trading a little bit.
Yep.
Constantly trading. Outrage is level 3. He's probably going to open up a W in a sec. Blocks all that damage.
Nice.
And Forchi just unable to trade back at all. And already we're just seeing quite a bit of leads in terms of HP coming out from a couple of these lanes. As you mentioned, Kobita, very passive in terms of using his ability. He wants to keep his stun stacked up in case anything goes wrong, and he took Aerie for that reason. He's just constantly going to be using his extended range on Annie. She has quite a bit of attack range. He's just going to keep poking slowly but surely as this lane progresses.
Yeah, and what I was going to say with respect to the ward that Primal Instinct had by the Raptors, that does give away his pathing, even though he wasn't spotted, since you would have seen him on that ward if he did start bot side. So they do know he started top side, but they don't know where he is with that ward.
Pings in the mid lane.
Yeah, pings in the middle. This Veigar is gankable, but at most you're going to burn flash probably. I don't think he's like you have any kill threat. We have a gank in top.
Speaking of ganks, yeah. Flex looking for an engage. They both drop wards into the bush, and then the Q push away from the Scion. The stun comes out, the W comes in, but Outrage unable to land it as Fortunately flashes behind him. Flash Q onto the Outrage, one more auto, and that's going to be first blood going over to the Maokai.
Should have W flashed.
Yeah, that would have been insane. But
really close, honestly. The Maokai Q makes it a lot closer than it should have been. Not waiting for the stun to come through. Because at worst, he flashes the Scion Q because he's stuck in the middle of it next to a wall, and then you get the chain CC after the fact. Either way, get the kill over, burning both sums, both top laners, no flash. And I'm assuming Forshi will burn his TP coming back to lane on this after this recall because of the wave state. Actually, he can't.
Don't know.
He can walk back. He can walk back. It depends on how fast Outrage pushes this, but it looks like he's waiting in base for some gold, so he probably has to TP if he's doing that.
Yeah,
I'm curious. I think he's waiting for Crystalline Bracer, I would assume.
Oh, Arcane Shift comes out, but the stun does land from Fallen Warrior, and Domination pumping out the damage on the Kobita, punishing him for just that one bit of stun that got landed onto him. But looking at top lane, did finish the play.
He waited for steel caps, and then he burned his TP getting back to lane. Okay.
I mean,
honestly, not bad. Steel caps is really good in the set, obviously. So it's a huge buy for him. It makes him a lot safer in this lane. I mean, Outrage just ignoring him getting a turret blade here. He'll take probably one tower shot here. No, he just outside of range. Okay.
No, the W didn't end up clearing the wave. Which, if that did, that that would have ended up like
Yeah.
a little bit of disaster. But I mean, you know, homeboy knows his not his cooldowns, but goodness gracious, he knows his limits. There we go, his limit testing. As one does in a game of League of Legends. The Dragon is being started on the bot side. It is a Chemtech that is the first Drake. Will Flex get it? Okay, it doesn't look like they're posturing over for it, so they're kind of like, all right, we're just going to leave it alone. Oh my goodness, that missed.
It's an early W.
Yeah, a bit of an early W. Didn't have enough damage ramped up, per se, and Forchi is taking advantage of that, trying to pump out as much damage as he can right now while he has the HP advantage onto him. And the Dragon Drag comes in, he is able to steal the Dragon. First Dragon going over to the side of Dorado getting Lambda. They're continuing the fight. Flash blown from Fallen Warrior, but it is followed up by Dilly. And soon falls Mui, but the stun from Kobita secures his fate and forces the flash out of Alpha Sean over the wall. And that's going to be a 2-for-1 for the side of Dorado Gaming Lambda, as well as the first Dragon of the game.
Wow, the Ziggs ult on top of the... Actually, he didn't even smite it him. He might have just autoed it, so... Flex didn't smite it either, so wow, that ends up going over. It gets a little bit of an error.
Yeah, he's not expecting the damage burst, so he's not ready on the smite there. And I mean, if he smited, he would have smited early anyways. It was burst from about 600 HP, I think. And they don't have the upgraded smite, so it's...
That was insane. Wow. I mean, we've actually had a couple of good steals this series already.
Yep.
The Jinx Rocket and the last game. Now we have the Ziggs all pretty much assisting in the steal, and that. And that's the problem with those two ultimates in between Jinx and Ziggs. It's just if it lands in that little bit of a sweet spot, it does do so much damage and can take these objectives away. I mean, it's also super satisfying as a Jinx or a Ziggs to take these objectives away. So you're like, yep, I just did all that. Joke's on you, and that is ours now. So that gives them the Dragon advantage. I did not see what the second Drake will be.
It's Ocean.
Okay.
Which one did you predict, by the way? Because I know we both predicted Infernal. Or
I did
Mountain. Mountain. All right, good to know.
I was going to say Ocean Soul would be very good for them if it did end up being that, which it can't be anymore, but on the side of Primal Instinct, because it's really good specifically into poke compositions. Unfortunately, they don't get that luck.
Get some damage onto him. Kobita turns the corner, trying to get in range for the stun, but Alpha Sean not going any further, committing to that.
I don't think he gets that anyways because he was level 5 instead. If he was 6,
if he was 6, that Flash Baron, you're dead 100 to 0 probably. But
yeah.
Oh, Outrage.
Cancel.
A bit of a trend in the top lane, but in the meantime, in the mid lane, the Cades gets dropped. Alpha Sean just committing to this 1v1. He does have ultimate available. Ziggs ult comes through, and that is going to be a solo kill from Rivered. Alpha Sean just not able to pump out enough damage in the meantime.
No, Alpha Sean's also going the Rod of Ages build again. If he has lost chapter, he wins that. Come on. Stop building Rod of Ages
and meanwhile, in the bot lane, Tarek misses the stun and gets caught between an Annie, a stun, and a Dilly, and that's going to be a kill going over to him.
Speaking of Lost Chapter, and most likely Eludens, Rivered is probably going that build path considering he has Lost after blasting 1. And not only does he get that solo kill, he also has a 20 CS lead as well. So that's like a 600, 700, 800 gold lead in the mid lane alone. And yeah, 600 gold lead, yeah.
Nice.
And there's also a, what's that, 500 gold lead in bot lane as well after that kill?
Yep.
Yeah, so the two carries, the two people you want kills on have kills in this game. So let's see if he dies here.
Has
Flash, has cleanse, should be fine.
They do get the Maokai ultimate onto the Annie, flashed away from Kobita, but he might not be able to get away in time. The Annie Tibbers does get dropped onto Aphelios, but it's probably not going to be enough. Yeah, really good knockup coming out from him. The True Shot Barrage does connect, but it's just not going to be enough damage onto Domination, all the while in the top lane. The ganks happening for the side of Dorado as well. Outrage using the ultimate to flash him into the tower, and they got to make sure to body block this Scion from ulting away, and they definitely do that. Kill going over to Outrage, pretty easily done as well.
And what I would say about that bot lane play is I'm pretty sure they can both get out if Ezreal tanks the ultimate and then buffers it with E-Cleanse, and then neither of them should die there. That's not an easy thing to do, but it is something that he could have done to have them both survive. Nonetheless, really good gank by Flex. Really well played by the bot lane as well for Primal Instinct to get that kill back over to kind of stem some of this gold lead getting away from bot lane, because with a kill onto Domination now.
I agree, and we're seeing the story of the whole series so far. I mean, it's not as out of control as it was in the first 2 games, but Dorado being ahead now 10 minutes in, about 2k gold. This could,
Uh-oh,
wait, hold up.
Rivered caught between a rock and a hard place, more so a tree, but the Q knocks him out of the cage, and Annie's right behind him, and that should be a dead tree cut down, or shall I say burned down by Kobita, and the flash forced out of Vagar here by Mui here. Cataclysm gets dropped, flash forced out of Rivered, and the Cataclysm keeps Fallen Warrior in a decent spot to get damage, but his ultimate saves him quite a bit of HP and makes sure he gets out alive.
That's a huge cooldown that they burned too with the Tarek ultimate. So if anything cheeky happens in the bot lane, they will not have that for the next fight. Dragon up in 4 seconds. This should go over to the side of Dorado Gaming. I mean, there's really nothing they could do to try to stop it either. I don't think they're trying to fight for this. I mean, Maokai is coming down. Vygar is posturing over, and you don't have ult. You don't really, or he has ult. I take it back, but you don't really have that much mana, so you should back TP. There we go. Okay, should TP back. All right.
I want to see Aphelios guns to see if they can actually fight this. Yeah, they can fight this. Although Essence Reaver fully completed from Ezreal's a really scary spike, no Tarek ultimate. If Ziggs doesn't move down, they could take it, but it's pretty rough for them. They do have TP advantage in Sion, so they could make it a 5v4 if they want to sacrifice some top plates for it. Although Sion does not have his ultimate.
Yeah, and right now Seth already finished with the Heartsteel. He's just taking the trades perma onto Forchi here. He does have Conqueror stacked up, so he's definitely coming out ahead in these trades, but a lot of contention going over down in the spot lane over this Dragon. Do see the visions getting cleared out by the side of Dorado. It's going to be a lot harder.
They should start this up, and it should be theirs, because the contest would be pretty hard. This Outrage might die here, actually.
Outrage does get the W connecting here. He's going to step back, and he steps back into the queue. Forchi does have ultimate available to him, but doesn't commit to the fight fully. He might want to base and go for the TP, but the stun landing on a Fallen Warrior. He's forced to flash away, but it's just not in time. Flex did drop the Maokai ultimate and forces Mui out of the pit, but now he's stuck in between 3 different people.
Nice
Yep, there he goes. Rivered able to pick up the kill, but oh my god, the Vagar ultimate dropped on Adili, shut down going over to him and make it a double kill as Annie gets popped as well. Red-White Aphelios is nothing to play with, but Kobita's Tibbers is able to pick up the kill on Alpha Sean just in time. And dang, Domination just so close to being able to get on top of Mui here, but decides to back away and gives it to them. And it's Cloud. FF. But yeah, the Dragon does go the way of Dorado Gaming Lambda, and even though it was a pretty solid fight, he got 2 kills going over to Alpha Sean, which is pretty big.
Yeah.
I personally would think Domination should have stayed and fought for that. With how many chakrams
I definitely think he could have. Yeah, he had a ton of chakrams, has cleanse, has flash up. No Ziggs ultimate available. Cataclysm is still up though, but he has the flash available. I think he can definitely kill at least Moe there and make Rivered back off the dragon, or at least make him fight him for it. To not make it such a clean objective. He does go for the safe play instead, not opting to die himself, just getting out. I'm assuming he has Gale Force on base here, as he does, and boots. So bot laner is pretty even in gold now, as there's about a 20 CS lead, or about 15 CS lead.
Oh, Israel's up.
On the side of Domination. Ezreal's up by about 100 gold. Yeah, most of that's kill gold, assist gold. So most of that comes from. And top lane's pretty even. Actually, top lane's 1k down. Most of that's plates for the side of Set and that kill early on.
Yeah.
Also 25 CS lead, didn't see that. Mid lane is where the biggest lead is. As there's a 30 CS lead, 204 for the side of Ziggs. Even though Alpha got 2 kills in that last fight, it's not enough to make up for that huge deficit that he has.
Yeah, I mean, Rivered's been picking up kills, and I think part of it was the I think the Rift Herald and the plates got taken in the mid lane as well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just bring it back for a second. So we see what the plan is from Dorado, and we called it in draft. They want to poke them out, get advantages, get objective control, take the objective. That's exactly what pretty much happened in the last fight. Now he looked for a second for Primal.
Flash Sabers and the engage comes through. Alpha Sean probably has got very little time to live, and he definitely doesn't. He nearly picks up the kill on the Dilly, but it's just not enough. TP coming up from Rivered as there was a gank happening up in the top lane. His Flex tried to commit to gank onto Outrage. Yeah, unable to get the insect here onto the tower, and 4 members of Primal Instinct converge into the top side of the map, and they're able to get a kill, but nearly lose Forchi there.
Yeah, it was the classic Flash Tippers play that you will almost always see from Annie. That is one of the reasons why I wish Proto Belt was not a mythic anymore, because you just see those kinds of plays from her, being able to make those flashy little plays.
Oh, Flash! Speaking of Flash, yeah, Flash Engage coming out from Flex, and the stun from the Taric, and the root from the Gravitum should be giving the kill over to Aphelios. Picks up the shutdown. And you got a 3-0 into Aphelios, so you got something to work with.
Aphelios is pretty big, yeah. And not only is 3-0, he's got some shutdown gold now, which he's still even with Ezreal, about 100 gold up. But that's, I mean, I think you're more than happy having your AD carry even with this Ezreal, because in a lot of team fights, he's most of your damage, so you at least want to be even or ahead. The biggest spike we want to be looking at is this Ezreal's Mirror Mana almost being completed. It will most likely be fully stacked for this next Drake fight, so if Aphelios doesn't have his Bloodthirster by then, which I don't think he will.
No, he won't.
Because he's about 2k gold, 2.5k gold short of it. So that'll be hard to do.
I'm pretty impressed though right now with how the word I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for, with how organized, I guess that's how Primal have been this game, minus that little bit of a blip in the river for that second Drake fight. We're gonna pretty much look past that, but since then they've been kind of moving as like a cohesive unit, with the Bygar being in the bot lane and stacking. Oh boy, here we go.
Looking for a play onto Mui there, unable to stop the Flack and Drag, but the TP comes out from Alphashon and the Maokai ultimate comes through, and there's just 4 of them converging. Alphashon picks up the kill on the Mui, but Outrage able to land a massive W, and the suplex does come through, but the Gale Force does pick up the kill onto him, and that's gonna even up this gold lead as much as it's ever been at this point, with them picking up the Rift Herald and a couple more kills going to their carries.
Okay.
Yeah, Inferno Multi loves tight spaces, and the Cataclysm getting used against them as it sticks both J4 and Set in the same spot for him to hit that, and it gives him a lot of space naturally with the terrain in his way. So as much as you go for the engage, you're actually peeling the enemy AD carry in the 2v4.
Indeed. You love to see it. I mean, the decisive calls that Primal is currently making, this is what we wanted to see. So here they are making those decisive calls, picking fights, and we're running it down.
Coming out from Flex. They try to get the stun on Kombita, but it doesn't land. The Ziggs ultimate comes out, and the Taric ultimate doesn't connect in time. Outrage TPing, looking for a fight. Nice flash coming out from Alphashon to keep him away from the pullback, but it's just not going to be enough for right now. They have to fall back even after Forchi's TP into the bot lane. The third dragon of the game is spawning up, but with all 5 members of Dorado Gaming just sitting there contesting the river, it's going to be hard to walk in. Outrage does get his hands on Alphashon, chunks him out to half HP on top of River, dropping in some damage, and now Forchi standing right top of Outrage. Domination trying to pump out the damage, but oh my god, the Ezreal Chishop Barrage hits onto 3, and now they just cannot move forward. They just have way too much poke, way too much range for anybody on the side of Primal Instinct to go any further. And nice snipe coming out from Dilly, picking up the kill onto the Scion. All the while, Mui and Kobita just free hitting that dragon, which should be all but theirs.
Dude, we just complimented them about how good they were doing, and then Flex goes and gets caught out in the jungle. Oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Oh god, now they're down 3 dragons. They have to fight this next one. I mean, arguably, they'll probably be in a decent position.
Oh, Flex, you might be in the same spot. You got stunned up by the Annie. Nice root and nice ultimate to get yourself to safety. But man, that is definitely looking like a sticky situation if I ever saw one.
And what I'd like to say about that last play is, they should have, Primal Instinct should have tried to go through mid lane, because it's so hard to walk your jungle. Is River might die here? No, he's fine with Flash. It's so hard for them to walk through jungle to get into pit because of how many chokes there are, and with how much poke Dorado has. It's way easier to play through the river, either through mid lane or through bot lane. So walking into jungle is I'd say the biggest mistake they made there, just allowing them to play with all these chokes.
The Q
just one shot with the Q ultimate. It looks like he's going. Yeah, he's going Seraph second. He did get Sork shoes, so there's some of the pen there. The flat pen being the most valuable against the 2 squishy carries, so some of that coming into use there.
Yeah, that is one difference, because I'm pretty sure Dilly last game went Lucidity boots.
He did, yeah. Which is more egregious than not going Ludens on, in my opinion.
I probably have to agree, but yeah, at least for the sake of Primal Instinct there, Veigar is dealing quite a bit of damage and has a couple kills. But speaking of kills, Outrage is dead set on trying to get this kill onto Forgy, but he is he might have underestimated how many people from the side of Primal Instinct are more than ready to come to his aid. The W comes out, but it is just not going to be enough damage with the Aphelios with white, green. He's pumping out the damage in spades, and now they drop the Rift Herald. This is going to get a crash, probably 2, considering majority of Dorado Gaming is on the bot side of the map, especially River TPing straight down to the bot lane just to secure that tower.
Yeah, I mean, they were down 5k at one point, and they were on like 14 minutes, and I guess they just haven't really turned up, but we might get a fight here as they try to stop this.
Can they get this one?
Really good
the
Ezreal.
Oh, he has the cleanse.
Yeah, and they force the cleanse out of the Ezreal. It's pretty solid with the Cataclysm. Yet to drop. They force the flash out of Flex here, but they are clumped up. The Cataclysm catches onto 3, but they don't have a Ziggs ultimate to follow through, and that's a dead J4 with no follow-up from Dorado to continue the fight any further. But they do have River there. He has the damage to zone off the damage threats coming up for Primal Instinct, and Alpha Sean just running down by himself. Doesn't want to get hit by the anti-stun. Flex might look for a potential engage. He does get pulled back by Outrage, gets the root onto Ezreal here. The cage does hold them in place.
I don't get it.
Flex does fall pretty quickly, and I think if I'm PA, I'm probably trying to have to get out of here as soon as possible, and they blast Cone over the wall.
He's having a trip. He's having a trip to Narnia in the topside jungle. I get what he's going for. You have the advantage in the fight. Jarvan is dead, but you're just way too split to be able to actually go for that. They're gonna go for Baron?
No, they're not. Never mind.
No
way.
I
mean, they saw them resetting, so I kind of thought they would take that advantage.
They could try for it. They have the damage. It's just really risky to go for.
Yeah, especially since River doesn't even have TP right now. He used it just a second ago, before that fight even broke out. So he's taking his reset, and already taking a page out of good old DBZ's book where he built Void Staff second.
That's what you do.
He's been listening. He's been listening.
If you want to be able to blow up the tanks, you need to go anything with magic penetration. I imagine this Vigar would be doing more damage if he did not have the 2 items he currently does. If he just delayed the tier and got those first 2 damage items, it wouldn't. But what do I know? I'm not playing this game, so
we're seeing it pay off. We see how much damage River is doing in all these fights. I mean, and he's going to have his. I believe he's going Seraphs. He's going to have that be completed very soon, as he does have a fully stacked tier. And I think Dilly's opting for Quick Blades. I think is what he's going for. He might be going Duskblade. I would like to see him go Quick Blades in this game, because it has a lot of power in these extended fights.
He doesn't necessarily need just like the Mythic right away. I mean, Ezreal's definitely one of those champions that can just delay it.
Yeah, he could not build one at all if he really felt like it.
Look at how much damage the River did to Scion there. That's what I'm talking about.
They're looking for an engage here. Flex drops the ultimate, and he's able to get the root onto Outrage here, but that might not be the person they want to engage onto. They do get the root onto Annie, but Annie able to drop the stun here. The True Shot Barrage hits the top of the Cataclysm as well as the Ziggs ultimate, and most of the damage carries are forced to run away. The set gets a great suplex using the Scion, and that's going to be 4 members down for the side of Primal Instinct Red, as Dorado Gaming get a free ticket over to that drag, and that should be the soul.
Yeah, and probably the Baron too. I mean, Ezreal's
most likely,
and Jarvan can just get a little bit of HP back. So, and just that is the power of the damage from that Ziggs. That ultimate on top of 3 people, we saw it annihilate their health bars, and that is why you do not do Roa on these AP damage carries. And it's just right there.
Absolutely one shot. Aphelios.
Yeah,
that's the combo we were talking about before the game even started. The Jarvan ultimate, Ezreal ultimate, Ziggs ultimate. Whoever's in that Cataclysm is almost certainly dead, which they were. And it doesn't look like they're going to pressure Baron just yet, opting to get vision, clear out this jungle. They should reset, get the gold on the map first, just because the respawn timers aren't that long at this point in the game. But that Cloud Soul being finished means that this ultimate combination is going to be up even faster than it was before.
Yeah, so here we are. 25 minutes, score is 17-12. They are down 7,000 gold, Primal being the ones on the end. And I want to see how many stacks the Vigar has right now, if we could just go over to him real quick. So he's 100. Oh, I think that's
he's
a little
really
lower.
Behind, yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point you usually want about like 250, pretty close to it.
About 10 per minute is your target. And I mean, we can see where most of it's coming from. I mean, like, there's been a 30 CS lead in mid the whole game.
Flex with a face check, and he is most certainly probably going to die here.
Yeah, this is a really important pick. They
E4
can take
coming
Baron off
out
if he
from
dies.
Ezreal. The Taric stun comes through, but the Ziggs ultimate does compound, but the anti-tippers is just way too much. Now, Red-White on domination, but he does get hit up by the Cataclysm, but he's got nowhere to go. The anti-tippers is just slowing him beyond belief, and Forge just by himself with no damage. Yeah, that
the
is.
Ziggs is hurting a lot, and they can definitely take Baron off of this play if they want to, which they should.
They shouldn't. I mean, not going to be up for another 15, 16
And yeah, he
seconds.
did go Cyrilda's third, which is good into Maokai Scion.
Yeah.
And we'll see what he opts for fourth if he does go for the Duskblade. Outrage can just stand here and tank this.
Outrage,
He doesn't care. And this is what the Lakapen has. All he has is a couple of boots that give him some magic resistance, and he's taking no damage from a 3-item Vygar.
No, like that again. Anyone who is watching, I swear, just if you need to do damage against tanks and you're playing Vygar, Ahri, Ziggs, please build either Leandries or Ludens first, and then Voidstaff second. The Seraphs can wait. It's better to get this damage out. And we're seeing what Rivet is doing in these fights. When they get locked in the Cataclysm and the Zigzag goes on top, health bars are melting because of that. And it is extremely impressive to see just the decisiveness of these calls for these fights. Now, unfortunately, PI, if they lose this game, they're out. And that means that Dorado will go to the finals next week, which, funny enough, as they're going against another 4th seed, so that would be extremely hilarious. So,
couple of underdogs, not looking like the underdogs so far.
I know, right? Just 11,000 gold up at this moment. They have Cloud Soul, so that gold lead's slightly more inflated by like 2,000-3,000 gold. And they're really feeling it right now. My math is wrong. That's 11,000, but still, wow! Just the way that Dorado has been like. I won't say like running over this game, because there have been a bunch of close fights. But I think these fights could have been very different. I'm not pinning it entirely on Alpashon, but
Flex
again is doing this.
Going in, and he doesn't get hit by the Ziggs ultimate. That is down, and he does get knocked up by the Flag and Drag. The Taric ultimate comes out, it keeps him alive, but he's just constantly stunned. He's got nowhere to run. Dilly's just free hitting with his True Shot Barrage, and now they have a man advantage over in this fight. They do land the knock-up onto the Ziggs and have him in the cage, force the flash out of him, but he's still caught inside of the cage. The Philios R does connect, and it does pick up the kill. Domination trying to use the Gale Force, but he just gets instantly blown up by the Set ultimate, making a triple kill. And Vhagar running for his life, and he's got nowhere to go. The flag is more than enough to kill him. That's going to be an ace, and that's probably going to be the game and the series coming out from Dorado Gaming Lambda.
Wow.
That was one of the fattest haymakers I've seen in a while. Outrage completely obliterating their whole team. And I was going to say before that is, not only is it a huge gold lead, it's a 4-level lead in the jungle and a 3-level lead in the bot lane. So that just compounds on top of the gold lead that they have. His Flex is going to die here. Nexus is going to go down. 3-1 win for Dorado Gaming, and we'll have 2 4 seeds in the finals next week.
What even is Risen anymore? We're here.
It's fun. That's what it is.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and that's why I love this league. As English, I'm just flabbergasted. Bro is flabbergasted. But as you heard, with this win, Dorado taking a series 3-1, they will go up against Rocketfellas next week for the finals. And I'm excited because we were here. Y'all saw us last week.
Rocketfellas were a nasty team, so this matchup should be pretty good.
I hope it goes to all 5. I mean, I'm glad we got 4 at least for this one. So getting 4 is really, really nice. Let me see if they want us to let me message Caddy real quick and see if we're going to do an interview. Because we don't know.
True.
All right. Oops. Looks like the other stream is still going, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
They might have a game 5 on their hands.
Oh, that is very true. Returning in a minute. Oh, maybe they do. So, hey, when we're done, I mean, there's a game 5 over on Risen too. So, unless you guys want to stay here for the interview, I'm just waiting to hear if we're going to do an interview or not. But your guys' thoughts, go ahead and tell me how you guys are feeling after either as the series as a whole.
I mean, well, personally, blue side diff, blue side warriors. That's all I'm gonna say. No, realistically, I mean, Dorado, they played to their game most times. I mean, they won practically every draft where they weren't just straight ego checking. the enemy team. So if that's any indication, I feel like they are a pretty solid contender and more than deserving of getting up to the finals this time around. So yeah.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna go into their team chat. Hold on, be right back.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, with how good they looked and how good we saw Rocket Fellas look the previous week. I mean, 2 4th seeds playing like they're the number 1 seeds. I mean, Dorado Gaming, after how they've played in this series, 100% deserve to be in these finals and winning the series. It looks like we're gonna have an interview here potentially.
It's Mooey. That's who I've brought with me. Hello,
Okay.
Mooey. You were kind of volunteered to come in, so
Jarvan Canyon.
I was.
Okay, so go ahead, guys. Ask your questions, and then let's do this.
For sure. So I guess one question, since it's the most recent game, what was going through you guys' minds during the draft? Considering you guys B1'd J4, there wasn't the opportunity to B1 Jinx like everybody else had been doing throughout the game. I mean, throughout the series. So what was the process going through that?
So we know the jungle likes to gank a lot, and I'm comfortable on the J4. So we're like, okay, if they ban Jinx, we can't B1 that. We just take away J4 and we don't ban it, because then we can use the J4 really easily.
All right.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Darter.
Interesting. Yeah. I really want to ask, like, I'd say with the team comp again, your first 2 compositions were really heavily indexed on team fighting and playing a sort of front to back style with this Jinx. Game 3 was a bit spicy. I really want to know. What you guys were thinking in game 3 draft.
In all honesty, our mid laner Defin and Silent drafted. I mean, we were all like, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
We were like, you know what? Let's see what he can do here. And it's safe to say we didn't do it again, game 4.
Hey, I was here for it. Okay, I like ego picks, and it was fun to see in the draft. Didn't work out for you guys, but
then I told my top laner, give me the Silas, and he's like, no. And then I just
Silas jungle would have been interesting. Or you send Wukong top lane triple flex?
Yes, obviously. Yeah, it was a triple flex actually. It was kind of cracked.
Okay.
I really could have gone jungle. I won't lie.
Nice. And then from me, something I always like to ask is, so you guys have taken the series 3-1. Next week, you guys are playing Rocket Fellas. Do you know anything about them by chance? It's kind of a 2-parter.
No, I don't. I do not know anything about this league, to be honest. You know, I kind of came in here mid-season and I won everything.
Okay.
Except game 3, but we don't talk about that.
Okay.
I didn't see it. Okay, I'll pretend like I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
And then I will say, I'll admit, I'm going to leak a little bit. So they pretty much play a lot of team fighting just like you guys do. So inevitably, this could end up being a really banger series.
Yeah.
So this is purely just off of speculation for you. How do you think the series next week will go?
Okay, so like this team reversed, they were kind of pussies, but they just played to scale. It was so boring. I did not like. I don't know. It was the most boring early game of my life. So now that like the next team's like playing team fighting, then maybe I'll actually get to have fun.
There you go.
Because I don't know. I was like AFK farming on Jarvan for like 15 minutes, and that doesn't make sense.
Just spam gank bot.
It was really
60 kills. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even spam gank bot. Like. I don't know. It was really cringe team diverse. Like they extended the game for no reason. Should have just FF'd at that point. But it's okay. It's okay.
Oh my god.
I'm not toxic.
I'm not toxic. It was his team who told me to bring him in here, which is honestly the funniest part. So I was in there and his team was like, yeah, bring him in here. I was like, dang. But we like the banter. It's it's things that are pretty much normal with League of Legends, is you will have banter, and that's okay. It's just like when Double F would say everyone else is trash. So I mean,
yep.
Just those types of things.
I love trash talk. It's a load of fun. It's needed. It gets a little spice in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that makes next week more exciting for me personally.
It's not toxic if it's true. Let's be real.
Exactly. That's what I'm here for.
All right. Now, Dilly flaming you in chat, Lamau, that's kind of funny.
What did he... Okay, I don't listen. If he's talking about game 3, I don't want to hear it. That wasn't my fault.
You can, on behalf of us, you can flame Dilly for his Vigar build.
Yeah.
no
Hold on,
magic pen.
let's see it.
Actually, I'm gonna flame your whole team since they're watching. If you pick Zygarde, do not build Rod of Ages first. Ludens, Void Staff, you'll do more damage. Stop being allergic to damage. You don't need health on Vygar. Just because his passive scales with AP does not give you the right, it does, but does not give you the right to build Rod of Ages. It sucks on him. Stop doing it. So I'll flame your team for you. I got you.
Thank you so much. You know, I really appreciate it. Like, if we're flaming the enemy team, we gotta flame my team as well. It's only fair.
Yeah. Just bring that knowledge into next week. Pick Vygar 80 carry, Ludens, Void Staff, Death Cap. There you go. Easy.
I agree. All right. So you're feeling pretty confident going into next week, especially after this, after today's match. And it's good to hear that like you're keeping your spirits high and your team was keeping their spirits up, even after losing that game 3, which is just a hilarious little draft. And see, now they're trying to argue with me that
they're
Rod
coping.
is better.
It's fine. They're just coping. It's okay.
Just hard coping.
It's just copium.
You know how much damage you were doing on that Ziggs build, Riverd? Leandri's Void Staff?
That was nasty.
Do that on Vygar and you'll thank me later.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to tell me I'm broken. I'm not going to 1v1. I'm stuck at this game, so never mind.
Listen, if you want to build Rod of Ages, build Death Cap second at least. That's all I gotta say.
All right, but in all seriousness, that was just the meme. But thank you, Meowie, for coming in for an interview. Really excited for you guys. Feeling really confident going into this matchup, and it just sounds like into next week as well. So I have faith that you guys could make this very, very spicy. So I'm hyped.
Absolutely.
To see
you know, I'll make sure to tower dive all the towers. Each one, I'll go one by one and int on all of them, just for you guys.
Sounds like a plan, man.
Sounds good to me. Well, thank you very much, Meowie.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and call it a night from us here at Risen. Next week, it is Rampage Finals. Rocketfellas versus Dorado Gaming Lambda. You guys don't want to miss it. I'm assuming it'll be the 3 of us again doing this.
Yeah.
I hope it is. Matt, if you're listening, or Caddy, if you're watching.
The 3 of you, that's the same amount of games it'll take.
Oh
my gosh.
All right.
To be fair, last week our last match was 3 games and this one was 4. So by proxy, if it keeps going how it is, it should be 5 games next week.
It'll be 5.
Okay, but that doesn't count. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
All right, we love it here. All right, that'll do it from us here at Risen Esports. I do believe Risen 2 is still going. It should be a 5th game. So we're going to go ahead, raid over there. We'll be back next Saturday for the finals of Rampage, but tomorrow is Dominant League. So take care, be good to each other. This is Swift, Darter. I'm DBZ Freak 2. Catch you guys another time. Be good to each other.